where are the low value men? Like, what are all the low value men up to during these trying times? Because the high value men, I know they're around. They won't shut the fuck up. Low value men, I have not heard a word out of. I'm starting to think I'm on their side. I think I want one of those. I want a low value man. They don't make podcasts. I haven't seen one low value man make a podcast. Do they not know how to use microphones? Maybe that's a good thing. That's hot. All right, I've never seen a man use a microphone for good.
Until now, everybody buckle up. It's low value mail time with your host, Danny Polishchuk.
Welcome back, everybody. How are we all doing tonight? We've got a great show lined up for you. No guest tonight. Man, it's really echoey where I am right now. I don't know if you guys hear that at all or if it's just me. I don't know. But we got a fantastic show for you tonight. As always, they're all fantastic. They're always fantastic. Tonight, for the first time in 4 months, I was kind of saying after the last, I was checking today to see when the last Open Lines episode was, because I wanted to do these. I wanted to have Open Lines episodes more frequently but I hadn't done one since the beginning of June. So it's been 4 months. We already got a call. So let's get to it. The lines are open. Whatever you want to talk about. This is the People's Show. So let's do it. Hello. Thanks for calling Low Value Mail.
Hey, Dave. Calvin calling.
Calvin, how you doing, man?
Can I get your... I'm doing decent. Can I get your email, please?
You want my email? You can email lowvaluemailquestions@gmail.com.
Okay, I'm going to do that. And I want to get on a Zoom call with you, Nate, and Ari. That way I can read the thing I'm going to email you.
Can you read it to us now? Is that possible? Is there any way you can read or give us a snippet of? I have no idea what you're talking about, by the way, but you've piqued my interest.
No, if I have to message Nate and Ari, I'm going to do that.
You're going to message Ari Shafir? When you say Ari, you mean Ari Shafir?
Yes.
Do you know him?
Yeah, I talked to him before.
Like online? He doesn't, you know what? He's kind of, he kind of goes in and out of whether he has social media. Like he'll be on social media and then he'll go these like very long periods of time where he's not on there at all. So, but what is it? You're going to message Ari Shafir? When you say Ari, you don't want to give us any sort of tidbit. Is it a sketch? Are you pitching a sketch?
No.
That didn't sound like that didn't sound like too serious of a no right there.
Well, no, I mean, I genuinely like writing comedic things.
Oh, okay, so here we go. So now we're getting to it. It might be a sketch.
It could be.
You're beating around the bush, sir. What is it?
No.
Is it a sketch?
What I'm trying to say is that no, but also like I would write a comedic thing. Also, like
are you offering up your services, your comedic services, for free?
Dude, yeah, like I hate my employed job right now.
Oh, you're applying for a job right now, sir.
Huh?
My YouTube channel is not even monetized. Do you think I'm hiring?
Listen, I know I have to submit a writing packet if I want to get hired.
All right, that's it for him. Next caller. We're not going too bathhouse styles on it tonight, but I had to cut that off. Hello. Thanks for calling Low Value Mail.
Hey, what's going on?
How's it going?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you very well.
Hey, what's up, man? This is Harry. No comedic ideas for you, unfortunately.
That's okay.
Yeah. Let's talk World War III, man.
Yes, absolutely. We have a lot on the docket. There's a lot going on right now. Yeah. What do you, I mean, that's the thing. Everybody kind of is, I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just spending too much time on the internet. I think people are more opinionated, have more opinions right now than they have, like more through the Russia-Ukraine war. I think because this is Russia-Ukraine, this is like never really America. Like I feel like America slightly feels threatened a little bit by this whole thing. So like everybody justifiably maybe has more opinions. But so anyways, I don't even, What's your stance on it? Are you an American? That's probably my first question. Okay.
Yeah. I'm an American.
How old are you?
I'm 31.
Okay. So you would have been pretty young. You would have been a kid when 9/11 and all that popped off.
Yeah, 4th grade.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on this?
I'm a bit of a tinfoil hat, I gotta say. But I gotta.
Let's hear it.
I just
Let's
think
hear it.
They'll never tell us like who like fucking hacked the fences or anything like that to get it how they got in on the 7th in the first place.
Yep.
Which is
I mean, I
bullshit.
agree. That is one of the more fishy things is how they were able to just do that, and the amount of time that they were. Again, because you hear everybody. Although I guess Daniel Boardman, who was on the show last week, he's like kind of has an autistic knowledge of this stuff to somewhat of a degree, and he gave some explanation of it, I guess. But the way they make it out is, if you're not there, is you're like they're everywhere, the army. So yeah, I agree. It was certainly suspicious.
Did you watch the Dark Horse podcast with Brett Weinstein by chance? He talked
I
a lot about it.
No, I haven't caught it. You know what? I have been watching, or not watching, but listening, which is fantastic. I'm trying to get him on the show, but he's completely ignoring me. Maybe rightfully so. But Daryl Cooper from the Martyr Made podcast. I don't know if you know who he is, but he did.
I'll look him up.
Yeah, he has a 6-part series called Trouble in New Jerusalem, I believe is what it's called. And it's basically like Fear and Loathing in New Jerusalem. It's basically like a 30-hour 6-part podcast about how Israel essentially came to be. He's super unbiased. Like, he's not Jewish. He's not a Zionist. He's like a military dude. And it's really good. It's like, I personally learned lots of shit that I had no idea about. But anyways, back to the conspiracy thing. Because I think a lot of people are inclined to go in that direction. So what is your conspiracy theory about this, I guess? Like if you were to have to concoct this work backwards, what's the why here? Like if we had like maybe a simple why of why they would do this, like why they would allow this and what the end game is.
If I had to take the conspiracy route, they had to get the U.S. in here somehow. Israel had to get the U.S. in here somehow. I don't want to blame. I'm not an anti-Semite by any means. Like, I think it's what happened was fucking terrible, and I really would not. I don't really want to blame Israel on letting people in on the 7th, but it's very, very.
Now, do you think?
Really
let me. Do you think there's a potential that Israel just like we'll say one scenario here where Israel did let them in and they did so. Although here's the thing, they've been planning. Like the head of Hamas came out and they're like, we've been planning this for 2 years.
Oh yeah,
and not only that, but he was like, we basically told nobody, so nobody knew. So I assume what happened is probably the night before. All the like soldiers were like, hey, this is what's going on. We're doing this in the morning. And like, that's it. So that nobody could really let it sneak out. But say Israel did let them in, like assume maybe that. And then do you think Israel was like, well, we'll win like the sympathy war here and we'll just flatten Gaza like once and for all, get rid of them all. And like, they just miscalculated that they would look way worse than they are.
Yeah. Well, the goal for Israel has got to be some kind of new DMZ that they got to put around Gaza or something like that, or else it'll never end. But there's nothing, none of that has been like defined or anything like that. So I could see like how people say, oh, well, they're just gonna like escalate.
Yeah.
I don't think Ben Shapiro is the only person who's talked about like the Israeli Air Force just flattening Hezbollah themselves. Like they don't need the U.S. to do that.
No, they definitely do. I mean, that's the thing is like there's, it's a guerrilla military essentially. Like I'm sure, sure they have weapons coming in from like Iran or whatever, but like they're not like comparable to the Israeli military. Yes, Israel, like, I mean, a million people say that. Like Israel could flatten them tomorrow if they want.
Yeah, the Mossad, I mean, like this has got to be a cloak and dagger operation. I mean, it's already. The fact is that it's probably already happening as we're speaking. Like, but it's just the shit that they're not telling you. That's what pisses me off.
Yeah, and I mean, look, like Israel. I'm no expert. I would just like to be very like, you know, I've been probably reading a lot and listening a lot, like a lot of people have for the past little bit. But like, Israel has famously lied about their plans publicly in the past, which you would think from like I'm not like a military strategist, but like you would think to just go on CNN and be like, this is what we're going to do has no advantage unless you're like maybe bluffing. And you're like, you know what I mean? But to actually just be like, hey, this is what's coming. Like,
they got to, you know, PR and PR is everything. PR is everything in this in this day and age.
And you know what? I said this before, and I actually do wonder about the PR thing. I'm like, to what degree does Israel just be like, you know what? Fuck the PR. Like, we're just going to do what we're going to do. And if people don't like it, like, I'm sorry if you don't like it in America. Like, again, now if you're dragging America into it, that's one thing. But if they're just like, look, we're not asking for American intervention. Like, we're just going to do our thing. And
well, Warhawks are going to Warhawk. I mean, Lindsey Graham's a fucking idiot, and he's going to do his thing.
Yeah, that guy's never met a war he didn't like. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I was listening to I was listening to a space, like a Twitter Spaces just before this started, and they're kind of like some dude who's like I can't remember his name, some military expert. He's like, Iran doesn't really want to like come into this full thrust. You're like, they're not going to really win unless you become like some sort of like nuclear thing where everybody's just like threatening to fucking blow everybody off the map. But
yeah, like, I mean, I fucking hate that. I mean, there's a lot of great people from Iran too. Did you see that fucking girl that she's brain dead now because they beat her up for not wearing a hijab?
No. I mean, I have a lot of Persian friends. Like, that's the thing. I have many. Now, granted, I hang out with all comedians who are all like pretty liberal, like scumbags, but like I have lots of Persian friends.
Sure.
I have lots of Muslim friends. Like, I've never, you know, these aren't people who I've ever thought like sideways about or anything. Like, they're all great people. Obviously it's like, you know, you have these like governments who are running things, and then there's the people who are generally suffering. Like,
last question I just had, you know, you see all like you're in New York, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to see like your take on if you've seen any of like the anti-Israel protests and shit like that.
I haven't.
Like,
and our studio is really close to like Times Square, and I've kind of purposely tried to catch them. I posted a joke about it today, but I wanted to go put up the fake posters of those kidnapped posters, but of JJ Lieberman
I saw that,
saying that he's a kidnapper. And then just film people pulling them down and be like, "What are you doing? You're pulling down this guy's a violent sex offender." But I thought that was pretty funny.
That'd be good, yeah, for sure. The Jew song you did was fucking hilarious too, man. You're fucking down this day.
Thanks, man.
Well, I'll let you go.
But I haven't seen any of the I haven't seen any of the protests. Generally, they're limited to very small areas, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's just fucking crazy out there, man. I mean, a lot of people just.
This could very well be over too. That's another thing. Is I think everybody's expecting this to be Russia, Ukraine, but like, this could just be over in a week, and they just, you know, it's just another flare up that's happened, and that's just. I think this is the first one where everybody's got like Twitter and everything. So, I could be wrong about this, but I wonder, like, is this way worse than other times that like Israel has gone into Gaza, or is this the same and just like we're just seeing more of it? I don't know.
You're right. It's definitely way worse. It can't be stopped because it's a Viet Cong situation that they got themselves into. But that's why they have to create a new DMZ zone around Gaza. That would be their only chance of Israel's victory, I think, without it going into, you know, World War III. But that would take somebody like Jordan and to like kind of like appease that a little bit. But the Queen, the moment she says anything about the Queen of Jordan, I'm talking about, the moment she says anything like positive about Israel, she's fucking dead. Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine a lot of countries that are in the Middle East want to just go to war right now either.
It's definitely entertaining. That's for sure. Like God, I don't know. It's just fucking crazy out there.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. But I do wonder. Like someone was saying, man. What's that?
I said, well, thanks for letting me call and talk about it, though, man.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, take care. I was wondering, like, what extent. And by the way, the phone lines are open, everybody. Just a couple things. Like and subscribe to the show if you're watching right now. If you're listening, leave us a review. All that stuff. I normally get this out of the way, but the phone lines were lighting up from the get-go. If you want to support the show, patreon.com/low-value-mail, MAIL, $5 a month. Excuse me. You get ad-free episodes of this show. You get the bathhouse. You get all the Old Crossing streams, which I'm going to do a new one of those soon. I'm sorry I've been derelict on that. I've just been super busy. And you get a wrench. You get one of these fancy wrenches. And if you want a wrench and you deserve one, just comment and I'll give you one right now. All right, we got a call. Hello. Thanks for calling Low Value Mail.
Yo, what's going on, Dan?
Chad, how you doing, buddy?
I'm all right, man.
Very good, very good. Chad, everyone. You know him from the intro, the outro, and the intro to the bathhouse. How you doing?
Yes, sir. Yeah, man, I call, has anyone on Low Value Mail addressed the fact that Tupac's killer has been apprehended?
Dude, I brought that up to Ryan, and that was, so since we've been kids, I don't know, I imagine you and I are somewhat similar age, maybe, but like since kids, it's been like almost like a meme before there even were memes about Tupac's killer. And then apparently the dude, like he'd been going on interviews for the last 10 years, basically just saying he did it essentially.
And then...
Or he was at least saying he was in the car, right? Like he was like, I was in the car, but I don't know who shot Tupac.
He was pretty much saying he was pretty much, I don't know. Like he was saying too much. Like he just started going on tour. First of all, he was trying to sell a book about it. I didn't understand that. And then they said that they raided a house in Las Vegas. I remember I heard that, and they said it was related to the Tupac case. And it was apparently his house or his baby mother's house or something like that. And
I mean, he's like the classic example where like I don't want to say he wanted to be caught, but it's almost like he wanted the bragging rights to being the guy who killed Tupac, and he like wasn't getting it. I guess if that makes, because you would think if you get such a high profile killing, murder, especially he's saying what now that Puff Daddy gave him $1 million to do it.
He's not like, I didn't hear him say anything directly. He'd just be confirming stuff like, yes. Like he's, but like whenever you ask him like a question that he's uncomfortable with, like he'll confirm it in a different way, like he'll switch up your words.
Yeah. But he went on that like DJ Vlad or whatever, like Vlad, that dude. And he legitimately basically was like, yeah, I was in the car when it happened.
And
he goes, I don't know who, but he's like, I don't know who shot him, but it was not me, but it was one of the other two people.
Do you know about Vlad? Like, have you heard of him before that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I know. He just does like the interviews and yeah, I know who he is.
Yeah, but do you know like everyone thinks that he's like, possibly an informant or like,
he's like they think he's a Fed.
Yeah, like no, it's been a whole bunch of people that's been on Vlad and gone to jail and stuff. But see, the whole thing about it is these people be half the time self-incriminating themselves on interviews that they. I
mean, it's a huge show. Like if you look at some of the numbers on his show, you're talking like millions of views. Like, if you go on there and you admit to a crime, I would not be super shocked if you end up like getting in trouble for it.
Some of those views are police departments for sure.
Yeah. So, yeah. I don't. I mean, I would expect. You would hope that if someone goes and admits to a murder on like a huge podcast, that especially like a cold case like that the police would at least start looking into it.
Yeah, and I think another thing that I heard is that he's like dying of cancer right now. So maybe that's like the reason that he's just letting it all go, I guess.
Yeah, that would make more sense. I think some of the DJ Vlad interviews though were from legitimately like 10 years ago. Like because when it happened, all of like that, hip hop Twitter or whatever, they were all just like, yeah, he's been saying it for a decade. Like he's been essentially insinuating that he did it for 10 years, but probably for them to actually build a case, because like they're not going to charge him unless they probably are like slam dunk that he's guilty, right? So you have to think it's that he is the guy who killed Tupac, and I don't know. We kind of
and that it's
whatever.
Just crazy because I used to be super big into the Tupac conspiracy theory.
Yeah,
like all about his death. Like he got shot on September 7th, and then 7 days later, or 6
wasn't there
days
like
later,
some
he died.
autopsy photo conspiracy? I remember something like that from when I was like a teenager.
Yeah, I think that's the real autopsy photo. I'm not sure how they got that though.
Because I remember like that was like in the
about
early days of the internet, and there was like a photo of the Tupac autopsy photo.
Yeah, it was also like it was pretty much like he was on Rotten.com.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because he was all cut up.
Yeah, I remember that. But so what was the conspiracy?
Oh, the Tupac. I mean, it was pretty much just like it was like Illuminati type stuff. I mean, he had came out with an album called the Donk Illuminati, the 7 Day Theory.
Oh, really?
And so and it's a whole bunch of stuff related to the number 7, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a long time since I looked at the Tupac stuff for real, but
yeah.
I mean, I feel like I could put the rest now with the rest of this guy. But
yeah, it is so funny though, where you have these conspiracy theories, and then you're like, yeah, it just turns out it was the guy who's been saying he's been doing it for the last 10 years, but was the guy who actually did it. All right, that sounds fun. It's definitely less fun than the alternative. But yeah, that's I guess now they just have to find out who killed Big. I wonder if it's the same thing.
I mean, now they saying you're right. You had brought up Diddy. A lot of people are talking about Diddy now, I guess. But I mean, I don't know how much, how real that is. Or I presume to get to Diddy, you got to go through so much lawyers and stuff like that.
Well, that was like when Martin Shkreli was on the show, and he was saying he had the same lawyer that Puff Daddy had, and he's basically like, Puff Daddy was like super guilty of that gun charge and got off because he just spent like $10 million on lawyers or something. Right. And that was that. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure he's very heavily insulated. Also, you would hope to think, if Puff Daddy paid $1 million to somebody in the 90s to do a contract killing, it would have been in cash. So.
Right. I mean, you would hope. But,
you would hope. I mean, I'm sure the police, like, he will. There's no way he'll get any sort of special treatment. Like, if he's involved in this, there's for sure they're gonna try and exhaust all those.
That would be like that arrest right there. That would be something to see.
Yeah, that would be a wild one. Cool, Chad. Anything else with you? How's the music biz going? Everybody go check out. Yeah. You don't ever do like live shows or anything, do you?
Well, I haven't performed live in a while, but I'm always down and I'm always ready to spit a rhyme or to play some guitar, man.
All right. Well, if I ever play a show in your neck of the woods, we'll have you come and open the show.
Oh man, that's what's up, man.
Yeah.
Let me know.
Yeah, 100%. All right, cool. Man. Thanks, buddy.
All right, peace, man.
Chad Turnup, everybody. Shout out to him. We have a super chat here from Dylan. It says, your pal Tim, I assume that means Tim Pool, went Shapiro bot along with Libby Ebbins. That's the Post Malone check. The idea how there were workers in the comments attacking the guests, but his live chat was nothing but people flaming Tim. I unsubbed. He sucks. I do like Tim, and I will be on the show next month. So I like Tim. He's there's an entertainment element to this that you guys are maybe missing. But anyways, let's take another call. Hello. Thanks for calling Low Value Mail.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, Danny.
How's it going? Who am I speaking with?
Brad.
Brad, how you doing, man?
Good. So I just wanted to get your take on, there's been a little bit of a kind of a pump in the last couple of days on Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And
it's in relation to the new ETF that they're.
Yeah. I'm always kind of skeptical on like how the news reports why it pumped or why it dumped. Like, but
I mean,
I
they
know
generally
that
are
you've been
guessing. I'll say they'll generally they always guess on that stuff. Like nobody really knows, but you know, the probably consensus is that it has to do with people front running the ETF that's coming out.
That's what I saw in the news. Yeah. I'm a software engineer and I've been kind of like following this stuff for years. And I kind of went down the rabbit hole a few years ago, just based on like the whole thing about blockchain in general is kind of intriguing and like, you know, the decentralized products and all this stuff. But I would say like almost like after SBF, a lot of people just stopped buying it pretty much. Not literally buying. I mean, just like no one was really, you know, I kind of wanted to get your take on the whole thing in general.
Like you mean Bitcoin?
Altcoins.
I mean, Bitcoin.
Just crypto in general.
I mean, altcoins, 99% of them are just Ponzi schemes. Like they don't have any utility.
Right.
Maybe one of them will turn out that it has some utility. I don't know. With Bitcoin, I mean, Bitcoin is now higher than it was, or is like at the same price it was around the SPF stuff now. I think it might even be higher.
A little bit, but it seemed like it was drifting. It kind of just stuck around the same spot. Like it never had a real pump in the last like 2 years almost. You know,
it was. I mean, no, literally 2 years ago, it was twice the price what it is right now. It was 60. Remember, it hit 69,000. So
right, it feels like it's just been slowly drifting. Like people are.
I mean, it went down. It got as low as what 18,000. But so 1 year from now, or in the last year, yeah, it's higher than it was a year. Oh no, sorry. Let's see. I'm trying to. Where were we? It might be November. Yeah, so November, when the SBF stuff started, it was at 20K. So it's a lot. It's 60% higher than the SBF stuff. So I mean, I'll say about Bitcoin is that it's not going anywhere, and you know, if like every time it doesn't go somewhere, I think is more of a positive for it. Like every time it can't be killed,
right?
You would have to think that. It's probably plus. Does it have a real utility? I mean, no, other than it's just like a store of value, which is a utility, I guess similar to like gold or something. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I
what
like
do you
Bitcoin.
think about like just everything surround? Like I believe in Bitcoin as well, just as in terms of the technology and as an asset and as a store of value, but everything surrounding it, like the centralized quote unquote exchanges that are all offshore and all just like making money off liquidations, basically. Yeah. You know, from all these altcoins.
I mean, those are just, those are probably similar to, I mean, unfortunately I had to learn a very painful lesson about this, but it is very true that they've not your keys, not your coins. And I learned that lesson incredibly painfully. But,
so did I, dude.
yeah. So we'll.
The problem with if you go, yeah.
Do you had an FTX account or just something else, some other scam?
I did, but I did not have the amount you had in it.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. They're doing like the whole bankruptcy thing, but I'm pretty sure that they're going to be giving FTX US higher priority, just because that was.
Yeah, I got an email from them one time saying like you could do some kind of like you could make a claim or like do some kind of legal thing to like get your money back. I don't.
Well, it's making a claim. No, it's basically like making a claim to essentially say like, hey, this was what it basically verifies what you lost. But I think because all the FTX worldwide stuff, which is like the one I had, the regular FTX, like, you know, in hindsight, it was in Bahamas for a reason so that they could do whatever the fuck they wanted without any scrutiny. Whereas,
they're all offshore.
Yeah, right.
foreign
Whereas
base, which
FTX
sucks
US was like in America, but it was super limited what you can do with it, and it was because.
anyway.
So, anyways, hindsight's 2020, yada yada. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I still like Bitcoin. It's cool, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't. I'm sure it's a good.
Yeah, but as an investment or like in terms
I mean,
of like
it's
actually
you can't
trading
argue
it.
it's been an incredible investment. Like, even if you bought that.
But I mean, like people who are going to, like, let's say some guy wants to get into trading nowadays. He's like, all right, I can look at the stock market, or I can go into, these other exchanges where I can go long and short on the same asset at the same time at 5x, 20x, whatever.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm not recommending that, but
yeah, but you can.
What do you? Yeah,
I would not do that.
It seems like that seems like all a farce.
That's just. I mean, it's just gambling. I don't know. So, like, realistically, 95% of people will lose money. Small percentage of people will maybe make some money, and then the house will make a bunch of money. Just fees and all that shit. Blah blah blah. But
what are you doing with investments nowadays?
I just have some like ETFs, some stocks, and that's about it. I have some cash, and I'm just kind of
okay.
It takes a lot.
So you're not shorting Dogecoin anymore.
No, I'm not doing anything crazy because that was like during COVID and stuff, and that just takes a lot of like
right.
Kind
yeah,
of
that was
bandwidth.
a crazy year. That
was and like that just takes so much of my bandwidth. I wasn't really doing like a ton of stand up because like everything was like shut down and like. But I just can't. I just don't have the mental energy to devote to like dealing with that shit all the time.
Yeah,
so.
It's kind of the thing where you got to watch it all day, 24/7 to actually.
Exactly, and I'm like, I'd rather just make fucking comedy videos and do shows and stuff. So
yeah,
which
you guys are doing great at, by the way.
Thanks, man. All right, anything else? All right, appreciate it.
No, that's.
All right, that was what was I saying? We got some super chats. Appreciate the super chats because I'm certain I can't believe if you haven't seen my the Jew song on my other channel, go check it out. I can't believe it's still up. That's everybody told me that it would be taken down. I don't want to jinx it, but shout out to Tom Hudema. It says, "Do you think Matt Walsh uses his beard to try and hide the fact that he has soft white hands?" I don't know what that means. Is that he's like is that like a gay thing? I don't know. No, let's take a call. Hello. I'm just calling Low Value Mail.
Hey,
am
I on?
You are on. Right? Yeah, you're on. I can hear you all
Excellent.
Right. Who am I speaking with?
This is where I call and get canceled.
You get canceled. One of the things I wanted to talk about was tonight was I'm finding it really funny, the cancel culture. Like I'm very much not an eye for an eye person. Like I'm not a pro cancel culture person. And if anybody knows me, they know I'm not in favor of it. But some people, the fucking chickens are coming home to roost right now with this shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, what did you want to talk about?
Oh, I'm a pretty opinionated person, so I've got some pretty strong opinions about what's going on.
Okay.
And I've been voicing them online, and I saw you're doing this.
Let's hear it.
You're gonna have an opportunity, so yeah, here we go. Let's go. So I'm very much pro-Israel.
You're pro-Israel?
I'm pro-Israel.
Are you Jewish?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm non-religion. I'm spiritual, but I'm non-religion. And
okay.
I think people are getting confused about what's going on. Like, everything these days is so complicated. You get caught in the weeds. And I think, like, trying to simplify things is the way to go. So the way I focus on it is just to make it simple. Like, it's obviously a war against good and evil. I think everyone can agree on that. Like
everybody can't. No, everybody cannot agree on that. Like I've been kind of joking about it, but you'll see so many vague posts or whatever where someone will be like, it's fucking the Nazis against the whatever, like the Allies or whatever. And you're like, I don't know who's the Nazis. Like people, like depending on who you ask, like people are like the Israelis are the Nazis or like it's all over the place. There is not, there's no consensus here. Yeah. But I'm just saying, but you're saying
you're right. No, 100%.
But you're saying it's
100%.
Good against evil. And when you say evil, are you talking like Islam here? Or are you talking the Palestinian, like just Hamas, the government?
Probably the fairest way to put it is human beings in general have evil in them.
Okay.
And then anytime human beings can wield something that's powerful, such as religion or any kind of tool, government, right? They tend to fall victim to it, right? There's stories through time about it. We all know, right? So I'm pro-Israel because obviously the thing that we're fighting that I think is Islamic radicals.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we're actually fighting here. We're not fighting anything else. And the only reason why they're able to fight them is because they have power, because they have religion still has power. So just like in video games, if something's too strong, right, like it's OP, right, it should be nerfed. So I think we should be doing the same thing with religion, and basically it should just be like a club or anything like that. It shouldn't have any kind of power. So it should be democracy.
You're saying religion shouldn't have power in a country, kind of like the
it should not be allowed to have the power to wield over a state. So you should not be allowed to say to somebody, you have to be under Islamic rule if to live here.
Okay.
You can have Islam,
now as
you
someone
can have
who's
religion.
Sorry to cut you off, but so you're pro-Israel though, but that is a Jewish nation, right? So how do you reconcile that with what you just said?
Well, they're already kind of doing it, you know. But no, it should be like a democratic republic with the Constitution, where all people are free under the law. They can have God can be in the law. All men are free to follow any religion. That's the importance of it. Like religion has a place, okay, but it shouldn't have a power to wield over a state or country. Where if you're born into that geographic location, you're born under some religious rule.
Absolutely.
The same is important to like an autocracy. It's a theocracy is what that is, right?
I mean, that's the thing is there's Christians there's Christians in Palestine. Like they're not even all like Muslim. The government obviously is like I guess fundamentalist Islamic, but
there's innocent people everywhere dying.
Yeah, of course.
And nobody's trying to overshadow that, you know. And there's atrocities happening on both sides. Laws are being abused by people again for power. You know, like the apartheid, all that stuff is a problem. I don't know enough about it to really talk about it, but it's not something that should just be swept away. Maybe it shouldn't be brought up to the context right now because the war is going on, you know, but it's definitely is something that shouldn't just be swept away.
Sure.
You know,
which I think is
I don't think like in the West Bank, it's very complicated. So basically, I just try to say, like, in my eyes, I think Islamic radicals and Islamic State and jihad, right, is it's pretty much like it's an offensive move. They're pretty clear. Like they don't understand that you're fighting against actual believers. Like that's the other thing. Like you can have your tinfoil hat series about money and power, but money and power doesn't last forever. It doesn't go with you into the eternal life. People who are actual believers are far more dangerous than anybody's concerned with things on this planet. So you're fighting a completely different enemy.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that.
Yeah. And I mean, there are, you know, the people who are probably maybe afraid of that are, you know, there's some credence in the fact that there's 1.8 billion Muslims. They're not exactly like some tiny minority.
Why aren't they fighting back against Islamic radicals, though? Why aren't they standing up for their own religion, pushing back and saying, this isn't us? We know they're strong.
You're asking,
we know they're strong
why
people.
isn't who fighting back?
The Islamic religious people.
Oh, you're saying like why don't the
standing for their own fight
why
back
don't they
against
just kind of middle of the road like secular like Muslims?
I wouldn't tolerate it.
Yeah,
I would have been executed.
That's the thing.
I was born in Gaza, I would have been executed.
Yeah, like all the Muslims I know, I've always been like they drink and all that stuff. But again, I only know comedians really, so it's not necessarily a fair representation.
It's just another thing that muddies the waters is these people are able to operate somehow and continue to operate. And again, when you focus on states and nations and countries, you lose sight again if you're fighting a holy war. And a lot of people are like, oh, it's this and that. It might be, but if you make it really simple and look at it that way, you just get rid of religion as a power, right?
But then what is
people are afraid of that stuff now, though. But
where do you live?
I'm in Canada.
You're in Canada. So when you like in that framework, like do you want the Canadian government to make policy based around like the fact that there's this ongoing, never-ending holy war? Like in terms of maybe like immigration?
It would have to be for it to work, it would have to be a world policy, which everyone's afraid of. Because again, tinfoil hat conspiracies. But you have to use sanctions and things to try to promote countries to move towards democratic.
Yeah, I mean, Iran is, I'm pretty sure, like I could be wrong here. Someone maybe...
Saudi Arabia is already doing it. Like, look at what Jake Paul's doing with all the events that's happening. They're moving away from old savage shit and they're moving into modern
Yeah,
times.
because they have younger
Right, you can
leadership
still have your-
and they kind of
Yeah.
want to just move into a more modern world, which is, I think, kind of
Exactly.
part of the Abraham
Exactly. You
Accords
still
and all
have
that
all
stuff.
your religious stuff, everything. You have it all.
Yeah.
Palestine can be beautiful too. You still have that. As we rebuild it all, start fresh. Secularism, democratic.
I think the problem is
right?
there's just such a long, deep-seated like hatred between both sides, and like it's not even that too. It's like all the people who live there, like, you know, there is after kind of doing some, you know, more reading on this stuff, like there is a claim to be made that, like, definitely a very valid claim. The people who are displaced in the 40s, like in 48, like, yeah, they probably could be mad, but like, you know, now you're talking about people on both sides who are like, might have mostly just been born there in the last 30 years. And they're like, well, I don't choose where I'm born. So, but they inherit these like feuds, that's for sure. So
100%. And like, I followed you. I just remembered that you were talking is because of the Martyr Made podcast.
yeah.
Right. So I think like with X, the important thing is everyone's free to talk about this stuff because it's super complex, it's super complicated. Right. So the most important thing, and that's where comedians are great. You know, like I always feel, what the hell are you guys? And this is like 10. Not that I have like a following, because I don't, but you guys talk about things and that makes people less ignorant. And that's what helps save the world at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And again, I think that's the answer for this problem is if you look at religions, especially like peaceful protests and, you know, love is the center focus, even in Islam. So again, if people group together and start focusing on rebuilding and focus on community and that stuff, and just the terrorists have to be destroyed.
All right.
Right. And
yeah.
That's my take.
Okay, cool. Thanks for calling.
Thanks.
Hello. Thanks for calling Low Value Mail. Who am I speaking with? What's going on here? Oops. Sorry. I kind of botched that. There's some weird thing that happens here when I pick up. Someone, a patron, proposed to me to be my call screener, and they actually know how to do this remotely. And I told them, I go, I don't know if we should have a call screener. I don't know if part of the show is, I mean, I kind of like the fact that you really never know what fucking mental person's going to be on the other line. No, that wasn't to anybody who called. Hello. Thanks for calling Low Value Mail.
Hey, Danny.
Yo. What is up?
Your favorite conspiracy extremist.
Hey, how's it going, buddy?
What's up, man? Hey,
I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good.
so I got to say, so I'm pretty anti-Israel.
Okay.
And, you know, I think there's a lot of reason to point out, you know, why they have done a lot of harm towards us of the West. But I got to say, you know, I'm not really anti-Semitic, but, you know, all these tweets and things from like Genocide Shapiro and Looney Loomer, I recently kind of feel
Laura Loomer is fucking mental. I made a joke about this. I don't think I worded it correctly, but she's going back with that Lupus, that Dr. Lupus chick or whatever. And I'm just like, something about just fucking filling your face up with that all that filler shit is just making these chicks retarded.
Yeah, I saw that tweet. That was hilarious.
I don't know.
So, but I gotta say, I was feeling a little anti-Semitic, but I saw your video, the song you did, and dude, I've been watching on repeat, and you did to me what Jonah Hill did for Kanye.
Oh man. Dude, my mom would love. My mom would love to hear that. Hopefully, the state of Israel, after all this is over, is going to award me some sort of medal, some sort of civilian entertainers medal or some shit. You know what's actually funny? That song for people who are like, I think, patrons of the Boys Cast. I actually wrote that when the Kanye West stuff was happening, so that would have been like almost a year ago, and then it would have been like I think December. I guess, or maybe like, almost a year ago. And then I was going to record it one weekend. And then like, he just got kicked off of everywhere. Like, remember he got like nuked off of everything and it just like kind of went away. And then I was like, I've kind of missed my spot. And I just like never thought about it again until like last week when I was just like writing sketches and I was like, oh shit, I forgot I had that. And then I just went and fucking recorded it. But yeah, I actually almost didn't post it because I thought I was getting so in the weeds of like just being on Twitter like 10 hours a day where I'm like, is this like insane thing to post? But I'm glad people liked it.
It was amazing. Even Owen Benjamin was talking about it today on his stream.
Yeah, I don't think he likes me.
No, he loves you.
Oh, really? Because he's been tweeting.
He's been
tweeting at me for the last like fucking 4 hours.
Well, he did a not. It's not really similar. It was another parody of Adam.
Yeah, he did.
Sandler's,
I saw that. I saw that he was like, yeah, I saw that. But then he's been tweeting at me about other stuff. I don't know, maybe because I didn't acknowledge that thing. But like, I'm like, they're so different. Like he did the opposite, where I was like, I did like again. It's like we're both parodying a song. You're like, he didn't invent parodies. And I honestly had never seen it. Like I don't. To be honest, I don't watch a lot of stand-up comedy. Like I watched so much comedy when I was a kid. Now, just specifically to not be influenced by it, I don't really watch a lot. And I'm like, I see so much of it live as well. So I'm like, I don't really watch a lot of comedy. But yeah, I never saw it. But I saw that and I was like, yeah, okay. I don't know why he just posted it and I'm like, okay. I don't know.
Yeah,
but,
no,
okay.
he said he was great and how funny you were. He also brought another sketch up months ago of yours. I forget which one it was, but
probably the ADL one.
I think it was before that.
Before the ADL one?
Yeah, it was a while back, man. Yeah, I don't remember, but he's brought you up before, so.
Oh, okay.
Just because I think he appreciates, people who just don't self-censor, because that was his whole thing. He got kicked off for self-censoring, so like the stuff you're doing.
I mean, I've always been sympathetic with him because, like, he was the first guy who's basically saying what is now a pretty fucking normal take, which is that kids shouldn't take like sex changing hormones.
Yeah.
And they took everything from him.
Right.
But like that, when he said that, that was like kind of heretical or whatever. And now you're like, yeah, it's literally, I don't know, 85% of people believe that.
Yep. Yeah. And I think for a while he was bitter about it for a long time, but now he's just like, I don't care anymore. It is what it is. I'm just happy people are also, keeping comedy alive,
Yeah. And I mean, that is my first principle with all of this stuff. Like anything that I make is like, at the end of the day, because, especially with the Jew stuff, because obviously like I know a lot of Jews. And even if you look at my comments, like I get a lot of Jews who miss the mark and they're like, you fucking anti-Semitic piece of shit. Like, what is this stuff? And I'm like, I just like comedy. I don't know. I'm like, it's like that retardation
rabbi,
for me.
That rabbi, I don't know which rabbi it was, but he like quoted, he's like, this guy's a piece of crap. And I'm like,
oh yeah.
Your response
anti-Semitic hack is what he called me.
More anti-Semitic or less anti-Semitic? Jeez, dude.
Yeah. Anti-Semitic hack is what he called me, but he eventually apologized actually. He did eventually apologize because then they're like, oh, okay. Because you can't, because it's not like a black person making a black joke where you can instantly identify where you're like, well, that's a black person, so that's I got to give it a pass. They're like not sure.
But should it matter?
What's that?
Should it matter that you're Jewish?
I don't think so, but it's like it definitely gives me some liberties. I'd be lying if I said it didn't. Like. A lot of my comedian friends are like, dude, they're like, there's so much of this shit. They're like, I'm not even touching it, just because they're just, I don't know. I mean, it does insulate you a little bit. I mean, instantly, people, and I'm the first to admit it, that people throw around the term anti-Semitism like way too loosely, like they did with Nazis and like all that shit. But, obviously it just like doesn't stick. You can't call me an anti-Semite. Like, I don't know. I went to fucking Hebrew school. Like, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I think just me as like a normal dude, like, when I hear stuff that's like, I'm like a pretty rebellious dude just by nature. And I think I like people that go against what you're not supposed to go against. So like, I feel like that's people relief. Like,
I'm just trying to make jokes. I'm like, literally all I'm trying to do is just like, I feel like I'm like the roaring kitty guy with the GameStop thing. I'm just like, I just like jokes. That's it. Yep. It's as simple as I like jokes.
Well, I got to say it does. Your stuff that you've been doing really, like me going through Twitter all day and I see all these horrific stuff. It is relieving seeing like the comedy shit you guys, you do and other people. So
cool, buddy. Well, it is much appreciated and it does not go, unnoticed that people like it because definitely if people hated it, probably do less of it. But
can I ask you about?
Yeah.
So, for someone who like myself has never done it, but I really enjoy comedy, I like those kind of things and wanted to try like local stand-up or what open mic. Do you have any advice on where to start, like to come up
Where do
with
you
a
live?
bit or work?
Or where do you live? Like, do you live somewhere where there's like a comedy club or an open mic scene?
Yeah, Phoenix, Arizona. I saw
You live in
Ryan.
Phoenix. Oh, right. Yeah, of course. So you live in a big enough city. Like, I would just go find. It's so easy now too. Like, fuck. I've said this before, but I remember when I started doing comedy in 2010, and like to do comedy, like I literally had to get a physical. There was this thing called Now Magazine in Toronto, which still exists, but like there was like a physical like fucking paper, and you'd like go in the back, and like they had like open mic listings. And it was like, that's how you, with email addresses. I think there was a website too, but like you actually have to go through these like a classified section essentially. But like now there's like a million open mics. I would just like, look, get 5 minutes together, go do whatever you want to talk about. Do not be precious about it at all. If you stick with comedy, you are going to find whatever you did to be like the worst, like cringiest shit imaginable. It's goes for everybody. So I'm like, just go do it. Just to get it out of the way, and just like maybe, I don't know if you've performed before, just get comfortable like being on stage in front of people and just do it. And like, I don't know, there's no shortcut really. Like you just have to do it. So I would just try and go to an open mic and then find your like local comedy club that has like an amateur night, and then try and get on that and just see like how it works in front of an actual comedy club, like crowd, you know?
Any tips on actually putting together a bit or jokes or with a premise? Like,
no, I mean, no, honestly, like that is the essentially, like that's the thing, you know, like that's basically it. Like you can't, like I could teach you how to write a joke, certainly, but I mean, that is, you know, people want you essentially for your unique perspective. That's why like the guys like Mitch Hedberg and like Mark Norman, like they do so well. Cause like they just have these fucking weird personalities that just are their personalities. And then it just, which is generally like kind of autistic. Are you autistic at all? You must be. You listen to the show. So you have that going for you. But yeah, I mean, I would just say go. There must be things that like uniquely tickle your fancy comedically, I would say. So I would just be like, you know, find a few topics, write some jokes. I mean, you got to decide, do you want to tell jokes? Do you want to like tell a story? Like everybody's different. Like, you know, I don't really just tell like bang, bang jokes, you know, some people do. Like Mark Norman is just basically just does jokes. Like,
yeah, I something more like Anthony Jeselnik or Mark Norman probably would be.
So Anthony Jeselnik's another one. He tells jokes. Like, so if that's what you're going for, and like Anthony Jeselnik, Mark Norman, those guys are like, you know, they play with every word probably in their joke. Like they'll move words around. They're like, if they can remove a word, they're going to remove a word. Like, so at that point I would just start writing jokes. Just take half an hour or take 10 minutes a day and just start writing jokes. And then just, you know, and then, but like, you're not going to know if they're good until you try them. That's the part, is like, no matter what you think about it, you'll never know how a crowd will react until you do it in front of them.
All right.
Yeah,
cool, man. Well,
all right. Well, let me know how it goes.
It,
yeah. If you do it, let me know how it goes.
All right. Will do. Thanks, Danny. I really appreciate it, man.
Bye, buddy. All right. We're going to take another call. Hello. I don't know. Uh-oh. What did I just do here? What have I done? We do not want... Hold on a second. Guys, I'm fucking up right now pretty bad. I don't know. That's so weird. Sorry. Just give me a second here. I don't know what's going on here. Okay, let's try this. I feel like they changed something in Zoom. Hello?
Hey, Danny. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, my pleasure. You just happened to make it on. I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh,
here.
perfect. Yeah, I saw that call wrapping up. I gave it a chance.
Yeah,
I am Justin Falzon.
Justin Falzon. How you doing, man?
Yep. Thank you. I'm doing well. It's actually my birthday today.
Happy birthday, Justin.
Thank you. Happy Scorpio season, everybody. I'm 38.
38. Good age. Good age. It's not. I actually literally have a joke about guys who are 38 years old telling you it's their birthday.
Really? I'd love to hear it.
I'm not going to do it right now, but watch out for it on my next special. But anyway, Justin, yeah. So how's it going, man?
Not too bad. If I got a note card here, I got it nice and concise.
Whatever you want to talk about, man. These are open. It's the open lines. This is the inmates are running the asylum right now. By the way, not to cut you off, but if anybody's in Edmonton, Alberta, I'm going to be at the House of Comedy November 30th to December 3rd. I didn't get to do any of my stuff off the top. Anyways, go ahead, Justin.
Well, I know I've been in your chat before. I love your show. I think
Thank
what
you.
you're doing here is awesome,
Thank
and
you.
I think it's going to take off. I think you're going to be you're the next big thing coming around the corner on YouTube, I think.
Thanks, dude. I mean, I cannot be the only autistic person who loves talk radio. I can't. I won't allow myself to be the only one.
I wouldn't say that, but
Okay. Well, I'm just like, this is kind of like an old thing. Like talk radio is like, this is essentially what this is just a talk radio show. I know it's on YouTube, but it's basically what I'm doing. But anyway.
Film the void, Art Bell left.
That is what I'm trying to do. A lot of people, I follow a lot of the Coast to Coast boards. People are not happy with what's going on with Coast to Coast right now. So I am trying to fill that void.
Well, you got the Gematria bud. You got Nubon or a Goob. He's
yeah. I mean, I've been trying. I got some good. I got some good guests coming up too. Let me just.
I studied environmental chemistry over at Rutgers. I'm not too shabby myself.
There you go. You took environmental chemistry. What is it? What does that entail?
Let me put it this way: I have 142 credits, and they won't give me my bachelor's yet. So
why? How many credits?
I
do you
walked
need?
away from that shit. They wanted me to get 149 for a bachelor's. It's like, how much money and time do you think I have?
It's just a fucking grift. They just want their money. But by the way, just everybody, sorry to cut you off. Here's who I have coming up next. If we do a Halloween show next week or next Tuesday, I think we'll do Paranormal Stories because it's Halloween. November 7th, Dick Masterson and Vito. November 14th, Megan Murphy. November 21st, Mark Dice. And November 20th, Ioan Grillo, who's like this Mexican journalist who like covers all the cartels and shit. Okay, go ahead, Justin. Sorry about that.
So about the Gaza thing and Israel.
Yeah.
I just want to compare, like put it into context for everyone, right? Now, Israel's about the size of New Jersey.
It's the size of Delaware. It is the size of Delaware. Very close.
Like if you have like just because I'm from New Jersey, it's kind of easy and we can do locations that aren't too like if they cordoned off Camden and called everybody inside human animals.
Yep.
And they broke out. Are we the baddies? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, look, there is a real reckoning going on in terms of that. And as someone who is obviously Jewish, I get both sides of this argument. Some people would say there are no two sides. It's super complicated. And some people would say it's not complicated. Some people would be like, what is complicated about this? Like, there's no question. You know, those people have been coexisting in that land for thousands of years. The Jews were definitely not there. They made a tiny sliver of the population before Israel became a country there. Like we're talking like 1-2% of the population before Israel. So it's like, it's understandable. Yeah. Like anybody who's put in their position, like the Palestinians would, you would think that they would also agree. But then there's also like, at what point do you have to just be like, okay, look, this is the situation we're in. Let's try and just, live peacefully and reach some sort of agreement, because we're not like, there's not going to be a scenario where Israel's just going to pack up and leave. Like there has to be at least some sort of rationale there, or like just starting point. We're going to look, they're not just going to pack up and leave. So either we can try and kill them all, which is probably not a good tactic, or figure something out, but they just have not been able to do anything. I don't know. And I like
I like that you mentioned autism, because let's be like autistically clear here, right?
Sure.
When we talk about Israel, we're talking about like Target Israel. We're talking about a 21st century corporation that is branded Israel. You know what I mean? It doesn't speak for all Jews all over the world. The current regime is definitely some Zionist, terrorist, rogue state that the whole Tahiyya doctrine is like state-sponsored terrorism.
What
on
doctrine?
Paper.
What doctrine?
The Tahiyya doctrine,
I don't know what that is.
DAHIYA. It's essentially like collateral damage. Israel says, if you touch us, we're just going to fuck everything up. And
you mean the Samson option?
Disproportionate response. No, not the Samson option. The Tahiyya doctrine.
Okay.
It's a disproportionate response if you touch us.
Gotcha.
And we're gonna target civilians and call them terrorist stuff. It's basically state-sponsored terrorism. It's collateral damage. So it's like you're putting that on paper. You know, when I call you a terrorist state, it's just because I'm waving this paper that you wrote in your face.
Sure.
It's like you can't call people this and say you're doing it, guys, and then live in a world where people say you're not. It's crazy.
Yeah. And I mean, again, they're in a weird situation. I can't remember who said this on Twitter. I don't want to pass this off of my own, but someone said this, which I thought was an amazing point, which is that the state of Israel, and maybe I've said this before, but the state of Israel was set up in order for the Jews to be safe, but just the act of it being where it is ensures that they can never be safe. If that makes sense.
I agree to an extent, but I feel like when they showed up and what they did, because they even had a war with Lebanon, they fight Egypt, they're bombing Syria, they don't make it fucking easy to live with them,
No. I mean, I don't think that they will unilaterally
and immediately didn't
Again, I could be wrong.
Because there's 2 million in Gaza and 27 in the West Bank.
Yeah.
If they had human rights,
27
what is the only democracy? I think there's 25 to 27 million in the West Bank and 2
27 million people in the West Bank? No, there's no way. There's only 8 million people
like that.
No. It might be 2.7 million. There's definitely not 27 million. I hope there's not 27.
I don't know. I've been watching a lot of. There's
2.7
lately. You know what
it's
I mean?
2.7 million. 2.7 million.
Okay.
2.2 million.
But when Israel says it's democracy, and it's you exclude those 4.7 million people, it's not really a democracy, is it? It's not.
I mean, they would say
it's not a democracy.
That
they're
Gaza
native.
is independently. They're obviously the blockades are their own story. But they would say that they're they had an election. They left. They had an election and they voted for Hamas. And the shitty thing is that Hamas has not called an election since, which was 17 years ago. So there just hasn't been another election. But and again, I'm just giving that's what they would counter with that is they would say look, we did give it back to them. Now it's not.
They just keep doing these false equivalencies. You see them on the news and stuff talking about Dresden and what America and the Allies did to Dresden. It's you realize that we did that to Dresden after they enslaved people and killed a bunch of Jews and had you in slave camps. We did that as punishment and stuff. What are the a million kids in Palestine in Gaza?
Yeah, I mean,
be born.
For sure.
How do you compare them to Nazis? This is a trauma.
So
it's a trauma response
I have a question because
you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Response. And this is, by the way, this was the point of the show this evening because I think a lot of people have opinions now.
Yeah, I also want to throw this out there. I'm not anti-Semitic, and I don't conflate Judaism with Israelis with Zionists. You know what I mean? They're all three different groups,
honestly,
and I have no ill will towards anyone.
Most of the
except
Jews
people who call people human animals.
Most of the Jews I know fucking hate Israelis. So I'll just we're not some every just white people are not a homogenous monolith it's for everybody, right? Okay, so you're Israel, okay? You're Israel. Just put yourself in this position here. You're Israel. October 7th happens. What do you do? What is the solution here, Justin, on your birthday? The solution to now, and you could say maybe something could have been done before, but let's just start as this frame of this reference point, October 7th.
I know, but
that happens. What do you do?
There's so much going on that's so fishy with that. So it's when you ask me, what do I do? It's
okay, let's let me some more parameters.
And I say, do I muster a response? How about do I muster a response?
Some more parameters here. Sorry, Justin. So let's just say that they didn't allow it to happen. They got caught with their pants down. It's Gaza, Hamas has admitted that they planned this for 2 years. Let's just give Hamas the benefit of the doubt here and say that they pulled a fast one on the Jews, on the Israelis. If you're the Israelis, what do you do?
That is a great question. That is a great question. I don't think I would have bombed indiscriminately. I'll say that. I think I would have negotiated as quickly as I could, or tried to get word from Hamas as quickly to the negotiating table to see what.
I mean, like I can tell you, like there's Israelis who watch the show. Some of them DM me. Like one of them, this guy DM'd me the other day. He's like, you know, with a fucking must be like a 50 caliber, like huge gun that he's you know been called up, and he's basically like one of his friends lost half of his entire grade from school. Half of them are dead. Right. So like, and again, I say this because it's all easy for us to like armchair quarterback this. We're not here. We're not over there, but I'm just saying in that position, what do you do?
I mean, same sort of thing. It's just secure the area, keep making sure
it can't be more secure. I mean,
they're back on
I take that back.
I'm saying back on the other side of the fence. And I'm saying I wouldn't bomb indiscriminately first.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I wouldn't do anything. I'm saying that I would wait to hear from what their terms were. Secure the area. Get my people back.
Well, they took 200 hostages. They went and killed whatever.
Yeah, I want those people back. I ain't gonna bomb people. I don't know where my people are. You know, I want my people back.
So you're basically saying negotiate with them, and that. But wouldn't that set a bad precedent that going forward, that all they need to do to get what they want is just to do something like that again? Or if you're going to say, well, I won't let that happen again, then aren't you making the conditions of the quote unquote open air prison that they live in now even worse?
Well, no, because here, I'm a Scorpio, so I am brutally strict. So it's not like I have a problem if, like, you know, you said, oh, like, if I wanted to, like, it's not outside the realm of me to be like, let's catch and crucify Hamas. You know what I mean? I'm not like, oh, no, violence isn't the answer. Hell no. Hell no.
I didn't know Scorpios were so violent.
Yeah, it's just explosively violent. You know, it's chemistry, bro. I'll Walter White the shit out of people.
All right.
But like, I won't do it through the front door. You know what I mean? That's stupid to me.
Yeah.
And like, I want to be like a scalpel simultaneously, but an explosive one.
Sure. So you were saying like, you take a little more tact than the Israelis would have. You would have just like been like, you know, biding your time a little bit. But again, it's an active hostage situation, right? So it's like you don't have the luxury.
Yeah, I know. That's why I want my people back before I do that stuff. You know what I mean? And
well, how do you get them back? They're not like, again, Hamas isn't like, oh, you want them back? Sorry, we didn't realize. Here you go. Like, no, you're not having them back.
They want prisoners, and you know we got fucking 5,200 Palestinians in fucking jail. It's not like it's a fucking problem.
Yeah. So you're saying Israel just give back all these prisoners. But again, those are prisoners, and some people will be like, well, they were unfairly convicted, but like those people aren't just like those aren't hostages that were kidnapped. They are, again, arguments can be had about how justified them being prisoners is, their convictions or whatever, but like you think, I mean, again, I'm saying this, but then also America gave fucking the Merchant of Death for Brittany Griner, so it's like it's hard to say what a prisoner's worth.
I just think that, like, it would look bad what I would do to the fucking numbskulls. You know what I mean? They'd be like, oh my God, there wasn't a big response for the paper to put on the fucking front page. But 3 months later, you know, you'd have 30 people hanging upside down, Predator style, ripped open. You know what I mean?
That's what you would have done to them. You're saying you would have just like, so this is just to bring this back. So you would have said you would have met all of the terrorist demands, or I guess maybe you're on the camp, whatever, freedom fighters.
I'd say negotiate demands.
You would have been negotiating. You would have given 5,200 prisoners in return for 200 hostage civilians. Then you would have been like, go back,
2,000,
whatever, go back into your open air prison. We're going to make no changes to that shit. If anything, we're going to fortify the fuck out of that, so this never even comes close to happening ever again. And then go like hunt them down like Rambo style.
Not Rambo style. You know, you have like, we have attack helicopters. This isn't fucking.
Sure.
You know.
But again, they hide amongst the civilians. Like attack helicopter, like you're not gonna. There's no way they ensure.
That's just the freaking thing, and that's the point. Like,
but that's the thing. They ensure that there must be civilian casualties.
You also know you have to understand too that there's difference of bombing and boots on the ground civilian casualties.
Yeah.
And I'm going to sit back for 3 weeks and level the entire fucking city.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. Like the carpet bombing is yeah.
Use white phosphorus. Come on, folks.
Yeah. See, I saw the white phosphorus thing. I haven't seen. The problem is there's so much misinformation. I mean, I create like half of it, but I have not. The white phosphorus was one that I saw some people being like the way it was used was legal. Some people were like it was never legal. Some people were like it was never used. There's so much shit where it's like impossible to get to the bottom of it because you're like, what am I supposed to trust Hamas or the news?
Yeah.
Like it's like everybody is so picking and choosing right now the shit that they're willing to believe because someone will be like, oh, well, like, look, like CNN said this. And you're like, well, you didn't believe a single thing CNN said before this. Why do you believe them now? And like, why do you trust Hamas? Why do you trust Israel? Like, I don't know. It's a real information battle.
I don't know. You just got to find shit on Twitter. You find 2 or 3 people that you trust. And,
yeah.
In the area, you got Avi Yemeni. He's always in the area, and he's even.
Is he in Israel?
Yeah, he's in Israel. He has a live stream from the border, man.
Oh wow! I gotta check that out.
Yeah. So, but I mean, like you just see bombs. You can't really tell what the hell's going on. You wholly expect that those are coming from Israel into Gaza.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've been following it as much as possible, but like even that, like those open source intelligence things, and then someone was like, which I thought they've been doing pretty good coverage of them, and then I saw something where like, yeah, this is like funded by the CIA, and you go, okay, well, take that with a huge grain of salt, then.
Yeah, right out the fucking in one ear, out the other.
Yeah. All right, Justin, happy birthday, man. I'm going to let you go. Good call, though. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's been great. I love your show. I love you.
My pleasure.
Congratulations. Thank you again.
Thank you. The birthday boy, Justin. Shout out to Anton G with the super chat. No homosexual activities. If Anthropic goes public, FTX can technically pay back most people. Yes. So one of their only good investment that FTX made was a private investment in this company, Anthropic, which is like some AI company. And then basically, apparently it's like 10x or something. They have like 500 billion, something like that. I don't know. Okay. Phone lines. Thank you everybody for joining me. I gotta remember to do more of these open line shows because I forget this is the show. I've been getting too much into, so I'm gonna start having slots for just leaving them open. Hello, Mr. Maurice. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, Danny. Just hanging out smoking. I bombed an interview earlier today.
No, what happened?
They're being very nitpicky on the solution, and I kind of like they're arguing back, and then like I could kind of just feel like the energy change, and they're just like, oh man, I should just quit halfway through this now.
Yeah, you just kind of you go, this is like over.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's that slight difference between like correct, like you almost are like arguing about like, no, my solution's better because of X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
So like that kind of got into it, and I feel like I upset them or like bruised an ego.
Were you right? Like, did you rethink your position here?
Right. I do think so, because then after the call, I did it locally on my computer, and like, yeah, this would have worked.
Oh, okay. And what is this, like a coding thing where they essentially say like, how would you have done this?
Exactly. So like the basic idea is like, I don't know, imagine like a book worth of text. Then they're like, all right, find every time the word, I don't know, Harry appears, and like try to figure out how to find that.
Control F.
Yeah, pretty much making control F, just like a lookup table. Okay. And you're like, okay, and then like, how do you store that data? Well, if you want to look up different words or combination of words.
Gotcha.
So that type of stuff.
And so would both, because I know with like computer science stuff, obviously there's multiple ways of doing things. I guess the simplest way is always the best though.
I mean, for the most part, like a good rule of thumb is there, like, in engineering in general, there's no such thing as a solution, only compromises. So kind of like, what are you willing to take or give?
Yeah. Yeah, that's very similar to filmmaking.
Yep.
That's like that. I learned that. I never really understood, but like when you actually when you get on these sort of film set and you're just like, okay, we have this much time, and then someone's like, I want to do it this way, and you're like, someone's like, there's no way we could do it in that time, and then you're like, you got to change this, and just so. I guess that's a lot.
Speaking of movies, have you seen the new Scorsese?
I have not seen the new Scorsese. Is it any good?
No, that's all just about to ask you, because it's supposed to be over 3 hours long, and I don't want to end up in an Irishman situation. So, like, I'm looking for, like, feedback.
Yeah, I have not. I like The Irishman. You didn't like The Irishman?
I liked it, but, like, I legitimately, like, would pause, and, like, I'd have to take breaks.
Yeah. You almost got to, like, see movies in theaters just to fucking force you to watch that shit, like, with undistracted at this point.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I don't know how, but I still haven't even seen Oppenheimer. I don't know how that happened. I kept trying to go see it, and then I ended up just like never seeing it. And I mean, I want to watch it. I will, but no, I haven't seen that. I heard the Old Dads is really good though.
Oh yeah, Bill Burr's movie. I've heard the same thing.
A lot of people are saying that, and not like the Burt Kreischer where they're like, just because everybody likes Burt. It was like people are actually like
that one. I thought was I quit that movie after 20 minutes. I was
you didn't like The Machine?
I was like. No, because it's legitimately if a podcast bit was a movie. So I was like, okay.
Dude, look, comedy movies are in a bad spot. We're trying, okay?
You know, like, get that bag, like, but, like, you already showed us this was a 15-minute story, and you're making it longer.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, nah.
Yeah. Well, all right. That's fair enough. What do you think of this? Do you have any thoughts on this conflict in the world?
I do. I'm actually. I feel like it's crazy how mirroring of 9/11 it is.
Yeah.
Even to the point where like the IDF was warned by Egypt and the CIA.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Just like how America was warned by Germany and MI6 of an attack, but like they both just like ignored it.
Yeah, and it was a plot. I mean, I guess the only thing was like at least the plot wasn't happening on, I guess, Israeli soil. I mean, I guess that could be to be determined. But yeah, for sure, there's a lot of you know, and you know the way that like all the saber rattling and America people are like, and who knows what to believe? Like you hear stuff like, oh, there's boots on the ground, they're ready to go in. Who knows?
Did you see that video this morning of they released those two grandmas?
Yeah.
And like the grandma like turned around and like shook Hamas guy's hand.
Yeah.
And like said shalom.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh man, the comments on Twitter were nuts with that, and
it's so
that's
funny.
The type of thing that probably hurts Israel with the information war.
Yeah, like I saw that, and I mean, I guess like again, like you know, those terrorists or whatever, Hamas, they still have tons of hostages. So maybe in her mind, like, she probably wasn't thinking like, how is this going to look on Twitter? Because she probably doesn't even fucking know what Twitter is. But it's funny because all these different news outlets were covering that, and like the super like left ones, like were essentially like, yeah, they treated us well, and then like they fed us, and then the ones on the right were like basically they said it was hell. Like essentially, like the further left you go, the more they were just like sugarcoating Hamas's treatment, and I don't know. It's hard to believe anything right now, to be honest. Like
it really is. Because then like it'll be like go back to like the 9/11 comparison. How like there are all those like old interviews of Netanyahu, like we have to actually bolster Hamas so we could break up like the political situation. And they're like, wait, we did the same thing with the Mujahideen. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's just a time-tested strategy. It's just sometimes, you know, shit gets away from you, I guess. I don't know. Because, that seems pretty credible that Hamas has received aid or funding or in some capacity from Israel as a tactic, I guess.
Yeah, and like if everything goes worst case scenario, it's kind of like the Taliban situation. I feel like it's going to end up happening because that like even if you do full ground invasion with U.S. support, you can't kill an ideology. So like maybe it'll just buy like another 20 years time.
Yeah, and then you have
like
this,
a new faction of people.
And then all the people whose fucking family you killed their parents and you killed their siblings and their cousins, and they've just been waiting to like just become military age so that they can go get revenge. It's like, it's literally the most insane cycle. But like, I'll tell you what, I've yet to hear a single person give a solution to this that actually seemed like it could be one that would happen. Like I haven't seen one.
The only thing I can think of, but I don't know if this is like too much of a movie, that like flex how powerful like the intelligence agencies are, because like the whole like Hamas leadership is supposed to be like in Qatar, right? And like assassinate all of them, all these high-ranking leaders, try to do it as in one group as possible, and like we could touch you wherever you are.
Yeah, but they like they don't care that much. It seems like they don't seem too bothered about that, and. You know, first off, they're all over. Like the Hamas's leadership is in like Qatar, and like they don't even live in Palestine, right? Like they don't even live there. So, and then that's I think a whole different set of things. You cannot go kill someone on, you know, I mean, I guess India and Canada are dealing with that shit, but you know. You can't go kill someone in a sovereign nation.
Like that would be a whole different geopolitical mess, you know.
For sure.
Like when
and maybe
Russia
that's why
was
they're
assassinating
there.
People.
Yeah, maybe that's why the leader of Hamas is not in Palestine. But you're like,
man,
you know, they're again they purposely intermingle depending on who you would like to believe. Like you know the IDF, and again, I'm sure a lot of you are like even rolling your eyes that I even use them as a source. But I'm just saying what they say. And you know, what I think is somewhat credible is they posted these photos and they're like, look, here's these rocket sites. One of them was like beside a kindergarten. One of them's like near a mosque. One of them's near like a hospital. And you go, yeah, you're like, if we try and take out these rocket like firing sites, yeah, we might like hit the thing that's 50 feet away from it.
Explosions have a radius.
Or you miss. You're like, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes we'll miss. And you miss by 30 feet. And you're like, yeah, I just blew up a fucking kindergarten.
I did think it was very funny when Netanyahu straight up rejected Zelensky. Is like, now's not the time, bro.
Yeah. Someone made a good point actually in the chat, but yeah, Netanyahu's son lives in Miami, which is pretty wild.
Does he really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
If I remember this fact right, it was like when the 1940 initial borders of Israel was being drawn, it was just given by a 25-year-old British military guy.
I think he was 29. They were talking about it.
29, yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine being that 29-year-old guy who probably like didn't know anything and just like wanted to drink and like whatever the fuck, drew lines on paper and called it a day.
I mean, one of the craziest things that I did not know about the whole like just Zionism Israel thing is that some of the big proponents of Zionism were these like I can't remember exactly what they're called, but they're, and maybe Joe the lawyer will call in and correct me, but they were like a sect of Jews who just want end of times to come. Like they want the Messiah essentially.
Oh, is that where the whole red cow thing comes from? I saw that popping off.
I'm not sure, but essentially they want end of days, and they were like, yeah, let's put the Jewish state in the middle of like in Palestine, and let's whip up all this conflict because that'll just get us to the end of days faster. And you're like, that's
they're
crazy.
Speed run the apocalypse.
Yeah, like speed run the apocalypse. Literally, they were like, yeah, let's do this just because this will get us where we need to go faster.
Damn, I did see like a conspiracy on Twitter that like
it's not a conspiracy.
They finally got that perfect. Oh no, not that the whole like red cow thing to go like with the third temple.
And, that like, I haven't seen, but probably that's
And these are like vague details, but if it was like a perfect red cow, it was supposed to be like the beginning of like the end times, and they're like, it was like right around 10/7. So I was like, oh, see, this is foreshadowing everything.
Yeah. I don't know. This like again, I'm sure there's many people who want a solution, but there's also a lot of people who's kind of don't. You know, there's
know.
there's good and bad actors in this whole thing, and there's a lot of
At
like
best,
apparently
maybe
there's a
the
lot of
only
money
real
to be
solution
made
is
in there's a lot of money to be made on both sides and not having a solution here.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So.
Like maybe the only like somewhat realistic scenario would be like give everybody a heavy dose of mushrooms. And
That's what I said. They should crop
right,
dust the region with LSD. Just
literally that's
just
the only reasonable thing.
Just like one of those, like when the wildfire, like crop duster things, just like the whole fucking thing, just cover them. Like
put it on the water supply too. It's like everybody has to touch this thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, all right. Thanks, Maurice. Nice talking to you.
Good talking, Danny.
Later,
yep. Bye.
Maurice. Okay, let's take another call. Hello.
Oh, hey, what's going on, Danny?
What is happening?
Oh, nothing much. I just kind of wanted to piggyback off the last call.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
My question is I don't know if you know this, but Hamas has gone to Russia a couple times in the past couple of years. I wonder what that's all about.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Those pesky Russians like to get up to all sorts of hijinks, though. But
I know. And then, don't they say Iran is a pretty big funder of Hamas too, right?
What's that?
Don't they say?
Yeah, Iran and for sure. Like, I mean, a lot of people are speculating that Iran literally planned this whole thing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, because Iran has a pretty close relationship with Russia as well. So it's just I don't know, man. And then also Netanyahu, when he got elected, he ran on the Likud party posted big posters of him shaking Putin's hand.
Yeah,
so I don't know.
I mean, that's the thing. As every leader of every country, if you're a leader long enough, has a photo of them, shaking somebody kind of questionable hand. I don't know how much of that is some smoking gun, but yeah, I don't. I'm not sure.
No, I don't know. I just think all these geopolitical relationships are super interesting and
Oh yeah, I mean that's the thing.
Now they're all kind of coming to a head.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's one thing when it's their problem, and you could just be like, yeah, that sucks. What's going on there? But this is the one where everybody's like, oh shit. I can't tell, if it's just a general the protests are because people are generally just mad or they're worried that this is going to come to their shores. I don't know. If there were which is legitimate, I guess. I don't.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I obviously I don't want America to get involved or nothing. I mean, I don't want. I want ceasefire. That's what I want. I want Netanyahu out of there.
Yeah,
he's a criminal. I want him out.
And I mean, again, it's
and I think all of Israel will be better for it.
James Corbett said it last week, where he's just they had a crazy political situation in Israel, where the reservists were saying they were not going to fight, and he was trying to change the constitution, and then all of a sudden, they have this uniting thing that brings the whole country together, and now he's the leader. It's
well, because he's facing 3 counts of corruption, criminal charges. And
tons.
So,
for sure.
So he's trying to eliminate the Supreme Court so he can be innocent, pretty much.
Now, and I guess the question is this never let a good crisis go to waste scenario? I mean, I find it hard to believe. Maybe he did let them stand down. Possible. I mean, that would be the greatest scandal of all time. You go from the longest standing Israeli president. If somehow this came out, you'd be shamed criminal. But I guess that's where it was going to go anyways, maybe.
That's my personal bias, though, that he is a criminal. And I don't know, I do think he let it happen because, I don't know, man. Didn't Corbyn say you could, fly over Israel in, 60 minutes or something, in, a helicopter?
It's fucking tiny. It's the size of Delaware. It is 85.
And it takes you 6 hours to mobilize or whatever.
It's 8,500 square miles, I believe, is the size of that country. It's really small.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, I'll jump off. I'll let someone get on, Danny.
All right. Thanks.
I really appreciate what you do, man.
Thanks, buddy. All right. Oh, hello. I keep doing this weird thing where, for some reason, I don't. Okay. Fucking that. Okay. Someone's calling the callers Zionist. Christian here says, all the callers are Zionist shills. So if you're not a Zionist shill, please call in. I welcome the non-Zionist shills. Call the show. We're not on the fucking radio. I can pick up anybody. Hello.
I'm not a Zionist shill.
Good. Thank you for calling. We need one of you, apparently, because some people are unhappy of the balance of callers.
I live in Alberta. I don't really care. I figured we could have some fun talking, maybe talk some hockey since you're Canadian.
Absolutely. We can talk some hockey. That's where in Alberta are you?
Yeah, I'm not giving that information.
Okay. Well, if you're near Edmonton, Alberta, I'll be at the House of Comedy, November 30th to December 3rd.
Oh, I hadn't seen that post. I was just looking at that.
Yeah. It's not up on the website yet, but it should be up in the next week or something. More so, I just was wanting to know if you're a Flames or an Oilers fan, because obviously that would be different.
The only real Albertans are Oilers fans. Come on.
Okay. Well, yeah. Then that sucks. You guys blow.
You're Southern Ontario, so Toronto, right?
Correct. Yeah. This I love how the turn that the show has taken. People are listening to Israel, and now we're basically this is the Israel-Palestine is for Canadians right now. It's just random hockey beefs.
Well, the ironic thing is the Battle of Alberta sure could be, but Alberta is 18 times the size of Israel. So
right. Maybe even more. Isn't there an outdoor game on the weekend or something?
Come again?
Don't you guys have an outdoor game?
To be honest, I'm not the hugest hockey follower. Yeah, there's whatever they call it.
You wanted to talk about hockey. All right.
Well, I'm more using it as a way to move the conversation off something so dire. Jeez.
Well, I mean, we're all about to get fucking nuked into next century or whatever. So I think that's
just nuke them first.
Yeah. Very.
You have to remember that
diplomatic.
we don't even see news on social media here anymore. So it's kind of
that is crazy. That was one of the when I was back, but it's only Facebook and Instagram, right? You can still. I don't understand why does Twitter allow it.
I don't know, because I said bad things on Twitter and I can't go on Twitter anymore.
Well, when did you say bad things on Twitter? That's you know what? That's a real next level fucked up person right now too. Is if you go yeah, I got kicked off of Twitter, and you're when, and you're last week, and you're good God, what did you say to get kicked off recently?
It was after Elon bought it, but I would say I don't know, probably a couple of months, probably healthy for me, to be honest.
Yeah, I could see that. I could use a break sometimes.
I had something actually interesting to ask you that I wanted to know about. Now I can't remember it.
Uh-oh.
Are you actually following hockey there in the States, or do you bother anymore?
I follow. Yeah, I follow the Leafs. The Leafs played the Capitals tonight. Leafs are yeah. I mean, when the Leafs are in town, I usually if I'm here, I go see them. If they play against.
Oh my God.
The Rangers.
Where do the Rangers play?
Madison Square Garden. It's the only place where tickets are more expensive. Oh my God! It's the only place where tickets are more expensive than in Toronto.
It has to be, yeah. Well, it's ridiculous in Edmonton too. You can't go to a game here. You can't even go outside for a cigarette.
Yeah. I bet. But I mean, you guys have the best player in the world, so you gotta pay for it.
That was my hook into the old topic. Did you see? I believe it was Hockey Night in Canada. Was it Hockey Night in Canada last weekend? I think it was. Oilers were playing.
I don't get to see Hockey Night in Canada in America. There's no way to.
They, of course, I don't know if they do it in the States. Do you do the whole we welcome you to our venue on stolen land thing or whatever they do?
Oh yeah, like the
I can't think of the
land
term right now.
Acknowledgements.
Yes, yeah, that's it. Yeah. In Edmonton last Saturday, before they did that, the entire jumbotron had a big "We Stand with Israel" display in a minute of silence,
and then a land acknowledgement.
Before the land acknowledgement, it was "We Stand with Israel."
I mean, I've been joking about it, but the anti-colonialist, like pro-Palestine anti-colonialists who are like in colonial countries, are like, I don't know, I can't take you very seriously, to be honest.
Well, I just thought it was humorous.
That is kind of funny, though. I didn't see
like,
that.
It was like, whoa! It's like, wow, way to take a major stand. And let's face it, it's Alberta. It's a place that doesn't really matter to anybody. But it was the social media backlash that I got to witness, at least on Instagram, was pretty entertaining.
Well, there was
you should look it up.
Yeah. At the Michigan State football game, they like did a trivia thing on the weekend, and they had Hitler up on their giant scoreboard asking like what country is Hitler from, but it's just like Hitler on their whole scoreboard.
Did everyone get it wrong, being that it's Austria?
I don't know, but whoever fucking was responsible for it definitely got shit canned for that. Yeah. All right. Well,
I was just chuckling at it along with my wife, just going, "Oh boy, what's going to happen with this?" And then I started looking at social media, and the guy went, "Well, the owner is Daryl Cates, of the owner of the Oilers, and like
Daryl Katz, yeah, of course, yeah, for sure."
So it was like, oh,
yeah.
Is it Katz or Kate?
Katz.
I'll have to refer to your judgment on
this. Katz is a common Jewish last name, so I'm pretty sure it's Daryl Katz. He's the guy who started the pharmacy. He has some big pharmacy chain, right?
Rexall, I believe.
Yeah, correct. All right, enough hockey talk, enough Canadian talk. I'm gonna let you go, but appreciate you calling.
Okay, bye.
Take care. Okay, let's. Okay, we're gonna pick this one. Hello, thanks for calling. Low Value Mail.
Hey, am I on?
You are on the show. Who am I speaking with? Thank you for. I've seen you repeatedly try to call in.
So
I appreciate your persistence.
I am one of the ladies that just found out they were Jewish, and now what the hell do I do?
How? What did you did a 23andMe?
Yeah. And
How much Jewish are you?
Jewish on both sides.
How much?
Well, it's probably actually like 89%.
You're 89% Jewish? That might be more than me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's like a lot.
I think you don't have to do anything. I think that is an interesting thing though, how like you can tell if someone's Jewish genetically, versus like say Eastern European. And I don't even know if there's a distinction. I might be just making that up, but I don't know. Like there were throughout history, there have been tons of Jews who converted away from Judaism just due to the fact that either there's persecuted about it, didn't want trouble, didn't care. But I don't know. I mean, you could do it with it whatever you want. What do you want to do with it?
I don't know. I got really excited about it, and then all this Hamas shit started happening, and I'm like, oh no.
You could just burn the results and just pretend like it didn't happen.
I literally lived my whole 40 years thinking that I was German.
Yeah. Well, there's German. That's the thing, though.
And now I find out that I'm fucking Jewish.
Well, I mean,
like, whoa,
yeah.
Whoa, nice.
Let's put the pieces together about why your family might have been Jewish and then decided to hide that at some point when they were German, because there were tons of German Jews.
And they
there
came over from fucking Russia.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of
immigrated from Russia
to
America and then pretended to be fucking
German
Presbyterians.
Well, wait, where's the German part if they were Russian?
It was German Jews moved to Russia.
Oh, they moved to Russia.
And then now we're
America.
Presbyterians.
Yeah.
And now we're like, it's weird.
So do your parents, did they grow up, where were your parents from?
South Dakota.
They were born in America, but their parents were European.
They were from Russia.
Yeah, so they probably were Jewish, and then wasn't worth the trouble to them. And like it wasn't easy to be Jewish in Russia. Like it was like my parents were from there. And
I bet they just.
My parents are like literally like in your passport, like the government has a record of all the Jews, and it says in your passport you're Jewish, and they're just like, I don't know. Some people are probably like, this isn't worth it.
Man.
And they probably just were like, fuck it. It's just
No.
easier life to not do this shit. But in terms of to answer your question, what should you do with it? I don't know. You can go on, you're unfortunately too old to go on birthright. Certainly if you wanted to convert,
I'm
they
just
would
really
allow
excited
it.
about it, honestly. I'm cool. I knew all my butt stuff and my sinus issues. I had to be Jewish.
Yeah, got some sinus issues, me too.
I knew it had to be.
Yeah.
I'm addicted to Sudafed.
Really?
I'm seriously addicted.
That's not good. That's probably not good. Although I have started personally using those Breathe Right nasal strips to sleep. Oh boy.
Oh,
Game
God.
changer. Game changer.
They're
I know I'm going to
fucking
get flamed
so
for it,
good.
but real game
They
changer.
will fuck you up, though. They will fuck you up.
Yep. Yeah, they will.
Don't get hooked.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, I'm sorry I can't be of more help, but that's my recommendation there is do whatever you want. All right. Thanks for calling.
Thanks.
Okay. Thanks very much. Okay. We got another caller here. Hello.
Hey, Danny. It's Joe.
Joe the lawyer, our resident Judaism expert. How's it going, man? You are certainly not going to help with the Zionist shill complaint, but you were the caller who got.
Totally.
You were the caller who got through. You were the only caller at the time. I didn't even have a chance to pick up anybody else. So, how are you doing?
When I grew up, I actually was not a Zionist.
Were you one of? I was reading all about the Satmars today.
Okay, yeah.
Is that what you were?
Yeah. So no, I was not. But I didn't have an opinion one way or another. But then, as you grow up, you sort of develop one, and I realized that the Jews do need a place that's just ours. But like my school never like really pushed for it or anything like that. It was just something I came to on my own. So with the Satmars, that's an interesting thing. They believe that
They're the anti-Zionists, right? They're like Jews have no business being in Israel.
No, that's not true. No, you're thinking of Neturei Karta. Neturei Karta are the Westboro Baptist Church of the Jews.
Oh, okay.
They're
the ones who like you see on Twitter and.
Yeah, they're the ones that go to the Holocaust denial conferences and shake hands with Ahmadinejad. They're the one, like they're crazy. There's
the
like
good
maybe 24 of them, and like they're literally the Westboro Baptist Church of the.
Joe Gerard wants you to follow him on Twitter. Go follow Gerard. Gerard Perry is a good follow on Twitter. Actually, everybody, I recommend that for anybody, not just Joe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Satmar, it's fine for Jews to live there. In fact, there's a ton of them that live there.
They live in my neighborhood.
The Jews. Yeah, no, but yes, and there's a lot of them that also live in Israel. They just believe that they shouldn't have anything to do with the government over there. The Jews shouldn't be running the place unless it's until the Messiah came. So, which according to them, I think I'm good. So.
Yeah.
They like it's really weird when they vote in Israel. So they don't believe that it's a legitimate government and they should be voting. So what they do is they just put in blank ballots, just like show look how much power we have and we're not using it.
Yeah. How many are there of them?
A lot.
Yeah.
They have a lot of kids.
Yeah, they have a lot of kids. Right. That's the thing, right? They have like 10 kids kind of a piece, so they just have a lot of them.
Basically. Yeah. In regards to what you mentioned earlier about how you think that the Zionists were a bunch of religious nuts, they started, but it's not the case at all.
No. I'm not saying all Zionists were. I'm saying there was a sect of Zionists in the formation of Israel.
That was not. No, in fact, nearly everyone involved in the formation of Israel were secular. Many of them were atheists. There was a large push at first for it not to be Israel, but for there to just be a Jewish state somewhere else. There was talk about like I don't know, somewhere like was it like Alaska or something, I don't know, or Antarctica. There was another talk of the one that got like the most headway was Africa. They actually bought some land.
Wasn't there like Morocco or something? Wasn't there? I've seen something, or Madagascar. Is that the one in Africa?
There was talk about that. But in the end, like the only way to get all the Jews behind it, like to get enough people who are willing to go ahead with this, was for it to be Israel.
Yeah.
That is our ancestral land. That and what I don't understand is the the idea of all these these crazy leftists who are like super pro Hamas, but meanwhile, like basically this equivalent. Let's say that the Native Americans rose up and they just decided to, they took over America, right? And they pushed some people into Canada, some people into Mexico, put everyone else in New York and California. And they said, okay, and the few people that, didn't fight back, like, okay, you guys can stay, no problem. And like these leftists would be thrilled, wonderful. They said, and then like, so this is, that's what happened. We came back, we took over our own land. There's, whether you believe in the Bible or not, there's archaeological evidence that it is ours.
Yeah.
No,
I understand. Like, I understand. People, like there's definitely like competing claims. Like they both were, it seems like they both were there, and then they've just been basically going back, passing the ball back and forth of just like who was there. Like I mean, they obviously need to learn to live together. Like I said at the beginning of the show, like Israel's not leaving. Like there's no scenario where they pack up their shit and go somewhere else. So you're like, you just have to figure something out at this point.
Right. No, I agree. And, I think, like I mentioned earlier, I think the only way you have to understand that they hate the Jews. And it's not that they hate Israelis, like they hate Jews. And even if you say, oh, most of the Palestinians aren't the thing is they're raised from birth to be filled with hate. And that's something that needs to be removed from them.
Yeah. And I mean, like unfortunately, not to be like to both sides of it, but like, there is a kind of a mutual like dislike on both sides. I don't think it's all love from the Israeli side.
I don't think that's not, so they're nowhere near to the same extent.
Nowhere near. That's fair.
There's a lot of distrust, but in terms of hate, there's a number. There are a lot of people that hate. It reminds me of a kid I knew in my class who was the most racist kid I ever knew. And like he would use the N-word and whatever. I'm like, why do you do this? He's like, do you know how many bikes I have that got stolen by black people?
Did you go to school with Owen Benjamin?
No, but not that that doesn't make what he's doing right. But in a way, I can understand it. Like he shouldn't put it all on this one people. But at the same time, I can understand where he was coming from. The fact that yes, there are a lot of people that they hate all Muslims, let's say. But like I don't think that's a majority of Jews. I do think that a majority of in fact, there have been polls on that. A majority of Muslims support Hamas and think that Hamas is in the right, and that is not even just in the occupied Palestine, let's say. But this is literally like everywhere, in America. Like they think what they were doing was right. I don't know how anyone can get behind that. You see Jews that, let's say, they'll like but whenever Israel does something that I think is completely defensible and in fact correct, but like you will still see Jews that will go ahead and say, oh, that wasn't right. You will never see that with the other side.
Yeah. I mean, I do wonder, obviously I'm not an American, but from what I understand, the history of how America came into California seemed like, and I could be wrong here, but if what I understand is like, they kind of took California, right? Like, wouldn't all the people who are, saying that the Palestinians are dispossessed, like, isn't there a similar, like, kind of claim to be made with the Mexicans?
And
not Texas, but I know California.
Right. I mean, well, actually, there was some sort of a border issue with Texas where they screwed up because of a river or something. It was
the Battle of the Rio Grande River or something, right?
No, there was a town in Mexico that was accidentally like part of America. And we didn't realize till 100 years later. So all those people technically had American citizenship because they were born on American.
Yeah, it was like a Crimea situation almost.
Yeah, and we just gave the land back to Mexico, but technically all those people were American citizens, and
but then Texas, but I believe Texas was fairly, or at least somewhat, like legally, like purchased by America or whatever. But it's like they straight up. I know. They
became their own. They became their own country, in Texas, and then
they became their own country, exactly, and then chose to join America. Whereas California, I think, was not that. So, anyways, I guess my point is, you're like where all these anti-colonialism. You're just like, I don't know, where does it end? Like, what's the line here? And then what do you do about it?
See, here's the thing. Israel just wants to be safe. They would, if they, they would happily have, China Hong Kong situation with, with Palestinian. Like, if they would be willing to, or even like, European Union, like, where you can travel freely between them. If they wouldn't be murdering people, if they wouldn't state that's their goal, if there wouldn't constantly be terrorist attacks, the problem is there is.
Sure.
I think that, like, if I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know enough about Islam to know whether that's the root cause or not. The thing is, I don't think there is. There are a lot of moderate Jews. There are a lot of moderate Christians. There are not a lot of moderate Muslims.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, I don't know about in the Middle East, but all the Muslims I know, like who I knew in Canada and America, are all moderate. But I don't know if that's the case over there. I don't know if moderate means something different there. But it seems like once you become Westernized, then I think a lot of that shit goes like, not always, obviously, but I think when you come over here, you go, yeah, it's probably better to do this than.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point the only way to deal with this would be a full-on occupation, which Israel is not doing and hasn't done for a while. But it's basically like a Japanese situation. They literally worship the emperor as god, and they were willing to fight to the last child until the Americans forced him to renounce his divinity. And we stayed there for decades, rebuilt the entire country in our image. I think that Israel has no option but to do that here.
That's what you think the scenario is? But isn't there a problem because
I don't think that's going to
Japanese
happen, but I do think that that's the only way to stop this. If you can, force them to go, like, I know this sounds, the thing is, you don't want them to turn into, you don't want it to be like a, Uyghur situation where, like, you're completely getting rid of their entire religion and they can't speak the language. Like, that's not something that's distasteful, and that's not something that we want to do. But at the same time, we want them to not think that, like, well, it's totally fine to kill people, and anyone who martyrs themselves by murdering another Jew, their family will get a stipend for the rest of their life. And which, by the way, even the moderate Palestinian Authority does that.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
In the West Bank.
So you get paid for life if you murder a Jewish person?
Yes. And even if you don't die, if you die, you get more.
Yeah. I mean, this seems like it's been, as young as I can remember, this was a conflict that was essentially ongoing. And
I was there during the war.
You were there during which war?
This was might have been like 2018 or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like I don't really remember much of what was going on other than just seeing planes overhead. I didn't have a television at the time, so I just knew whatever people told me.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, this is one of those conflicts where you're just like, yeah, I don't know, just have these flare-ups, and there does not seem to be, like I said at the beginning, I've yet to hear a good solution. Everybody says who's bad and who's good and whatever, but nobody has. The thing is, I think that if you want to look at
who's the good guy and who's the bad guy, the thing is, the person who has the ability to end it in an instant and doesn't. That's like, it's pretty, like, Israel at any time could have just cover bombed, wiped out everyone. Yeah. They haven't. They've been very
They could
careful.
literally raise all of Gaza tomorrow. They could.
Yeah,
it could be
they
over
could have done it any time over the past decades. They haven't done that because they don't want to. They, for some reason, like, they still think that there's peace. But the thing is, the more that they keep doing this, the less and less they're gonna think that's an option.
Yeah. Like, I don't even know what the Free Palestine people want, and I wish somebody who's like maybe Palestinian would call, who watches the show would call in, because I'm like, I still don't.
They want to get rid of all the Jews. That's really, they want them all out of.
But I'm like, that's what I mean. Like, they're realistic. Like, if, like, what
they don't have a realistic thing. They would rather have a slogan than a country. They'd rather have like it's
that. Yeah, I don't know.
It's very,
and I haven't seen
my grandfather
cogent response to that, where someone will say, "This is actually what we want." Like, do we want just tear down the walls, like, end the occupation? Like, can the occupation be ended without participation of Egypt? Like, I don't know.
my grandfather, but they want a one-state solution. That's really what it comes down to, which isn't tenable. My grandfather was a Holocaust survivor. I mean, my grandparents, but anyway, he grew up in Poland before the war, and like he was always told, go back to Palestine, go back to Palestine. Like they did not consider him Polish.
Yeah.
And like that was constantly like, you are an outsider, you don't belong here, you belong in Palestine. And then, there was a whole thing, I think it was Helen Thomas a number of years ago, like, get the hell out of Palestine. Like, which, like, where do they want the Jews to go? Europe hates the Jews. They tried to wipe them out. They murdered my father's sister. America doesn't, like, I can see it, like, it's not looking good. I hope that it turns around, but it's not looking great. Like, honestly, a lot of countries, like, in general, countries don't deal well with outsiders. I mean, even, Canada, you saw what they did to the indigenous people over there. And it was like all the bodies.
Canada treats them like shit. Canada treats them like shit, to be honest. But
we need our own place. And the fact that anywhere, like, no matter what, it's always the Jewish problem. Like, at some point we have to defend ourselves, and other people find it distasteful. But I did not see protests like this at all when it came to what China's doing with the Uyghurs. I didn't see protests like this with anything really. No one seems to. But then all of a sudden it's Israel. Then people care.
Yeah, I mean, like, definitely. I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of surprised, but then people who protest generally, they're itching to get back out there. And when they find a thing where they go, oh, it's the new thing, like, they're just like, they're dusting off their bike locks and they're getting out in the streets, So I don't.
Just what worries me is the future, because right now, yes, most Americans still support Israel, but the most young Americans, like over 50% of people under 25, support Hamas, which is just very disturbing to me. And I worry about the future. I would rather, and honestly, Israel doesn't need America's help. If America just stopped giving money to the Middle East entirely, Israel would be fine.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that they're constantly, giving, the fact that people are constantly giving aid to the people in Gaza who are immediately turning around, and you think they're using it for aid, like even the water pipes, like, that, Israel turned off the water. First of all, Israel turned off the water in one section because they wanted people to go to the other section. But Israel only supplies 10% of Gaza's water. The rest of it, Gaza has wells.
Yeah,
but
no, I know.
But all the pipes were turned into rockets.
Yeah, they got their priorities straight. That's what it sounds like. But so someone says in the chat, Kluber says, it's like the Palestinians are the underdog, and people like the underdog, and it's just, especially with the people who operate under that, like, oppressed framework, they definitely don't see white Jews as the oppressed people, not now. So I think it's just a very simplistic.
In Israel, a majority of the Jews are not Ashkenazi.
I know. No, I understand that. I think I'm trying to explain how, like, the support for one side and not the other. Okay, Joe, I gotta let you go because thank you for calling.
Yeah, sorry I took up so much of your time.
It's okay. Joe the lawyer, everybody. All right, we're gonna extend this a little bit because we've had a lot of you calling. Hello, thanks for calling Low Value Mail. Hello. I would love a Palestinian person to call in. I don't know if we have any listening. Hello. Hi there.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. You are on Low Value Mail. Who am I speaking with?
Yeah, sorry about that. I had AirPods. I had to open another tab and it was playing. Sorry. I was just kind of curious. This question might be perceived like in a very odd way, but like, how do you reconcile like your Jewish identity with like the more convincing aspects of like grand, like conspiracies and sort of things? Like, even like I'm talking about like more like the idea that like Jews are just like understandably, historically, and religiously opposed to like nationalism in other countries.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, I'd say the Jews that I know, like, definitely, like, when I grew up in Canada, all the Jews who I knew in Canada, they loved Canada. They definitely, this whole dual loyalty thing. I think, like, Joe kind of, like, they're definitely, they have some affinity to another country, like someone might who's from that country. Like, if you, someone who maybe is from a different country and lives in a new country, where they're like, because I always wondered that, where I'm like, if you're from a different country, why are you still flying that flag if you left that country that sucked so bad? But everybody still has, like, some affinity for whatever reason. In terms of the conspiracy stuff, I mean, I don't know. Like, some of it's obviously true-ish. There's certainly threads of truth. Some of it I just find funny. I don't know. Like, it's it's hard to reconcile. Like, I don't know any, like, I know some powerful Jewish people. I know some equally powerful non-Jewish people. Like, are they overrepresented in certain things? Absolutely. Is it a conspiracy? I don't think so. Like, people are like, it's nepotism. I'm like, yeah, I know lots of people who are not Jews whose families have these businesses and they employ their family. I don't know. That seems normal to me. Like, when people explain away the nepotism stuff, I'm like, what, you're just expected to not hire your family for the business you made? I don't know. Like, definitely some of the stuff where you're like with the Federal Reserve, and you go, yeah, that's kind of weird that they just keep picking Jews who also happen to work at Goldman Sachs. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, there's lots of it where I go, like when they have the document, they go like, oh, these are the Jews that, like, control everything in American politics. And I'm like, one, there's never been a Jewish president or vice president, ever. They'll be like, hey, there's like 6 Jews who run these things. And you're like, my answer is always like, what is the number? 0? Like, and invariably, if you ask anybody who, like, puts up those charts that I made fun of in my sketch, they'll be like, 0. I want 0. And you go, okay, well, it's not, I don't know if we're going to get 0. So it's, sometimes you got to meet people where they are. Sometimes just like, I don't know, like the conspiracy stuff. I obviously like it. It's funny to me. It can't all be lies.
Yeah, I got you. Like, I have Jewish relatives and, like, Jewish friends from, like, all walks of life.
Yeah.
So, like, you'd see it. I guess, like, what I was trying to get at with, like, the question is, like, more so, like, what are your thoughts on, like, a nationalist identity that would be, like, if it's based on, like, the majority population, like, a European or in some, like, to some extent a North American country? I'm not sure if that makes any sense.
You're asking me, what do I think if North America wanted
like,
to be
Christian nationalism and just, like, I don't know, the natural, like,
I'm curious about this because, I obviously follow a lot of people, and like, what would that, like, to you, like, what does that look like, I guess? Because obviously there's a lot of people who are very, like, disenfranchised. There's a lot of people who are like, essentially, like, this is the country that my forefathers built, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, we're just being swept to the side like shit. Whereas, and, especially like America, the people are like, hey, why are we sending all this money to other countries? They're like, we have lots of problems here. So I guess my question is, what does that look like to you? Like, if America was to become a nationalist country, I guess, because I looked up the stats recently, because there was someone, like, I've, obviously with the sketches I've been posting, I've been getting a lot of angry people. And, America, as far as I still understand, is still a 75% white country. Now, that's going to change. There's no question about that. But I guess the question is, like, I don't know. Yeah. So I guess you can answer the question is, what does that look like?
Yeah. I mean, like, honestly, I probably should have got my thoughts a little bit more in order.
Before
I asked this. But, yeah, I'm not really like a hard.
Like what is like, but I guess here's the thing. So it's like, is that like closed borders entirely? Is that like not freedom of religion? Are we talking about like basically reverse diversity quotas where you're like minimum representation based on race. Like, I always wonder what that stuff looks like.
Well, I'm more sort of like, it's more like just a very obvious concerted effort by like the government to build an identity like around an ethnicity that's like an ethnicity in general, because there's not many ethno states like that like openly define themselves as that.
Yeah. What countries do? I mean, obviously there's like, you know, the Japan and like the Asian countries where it's very difficult to assimilate into in the West. Yeah. I don't know if anywhere in the West, but I mean, I think that's like how the West build itself, was that they aren't that. Like there was that and they go, we're not that. Now maybe people are like, hey, I don't like where this is going. But, you know, when I was a kid, at least there was always like, that was the whole thing, was America. I don't even know if it was true, but they'd be like, Canada, every Canadian knows this. In school, when you're a kid, they say Canada is a mosaic and America is a melting pot.
Yeah.
Like that was the thing that they always taught you. They go, in Canada, even though I don't know if that's necessarily, that's just notice.
For Quebec, right?
No. They would just say like Canada's a mosaic. So it's like everybody gets to, if you're from India, you get to come over and you're still Indian and be Indian in Canada. Whereas if you're Indian, you come to America, you're American. Like, even though you're still obviously Canadian, but like, I guess, yeah, I don't know. I've seen obviously like someone like Nick Fuentes, I saw someone mentioned in the chat, and he's obviously like a nationalist, but like what he's prescribing is, and I don't think he like it's essentially fascism, where he's just like, look, this is like, we're just gonna have to be hard line about all this stuff. And, you know, if you won't fall, but I don't know. It's like, this isn't that type of country. I could be wrong. I don't know.
No, I mean, I think you're right about whatever Nick Fuentes' prescription for America is just probably wouldn't make sense for like what America
it's not even that it wouldn't make sense, is how do you implement such a thing without like,
it's not even possible. Yeah, exactly.
Like at this point, like, are we not at the point where you're just like, look, the toothpaste is out of the tube, you know, you can't like import like people from all over the world for decades and decades because that was beneficial at the time, and then now be like, hey, you know what, in hindsight that was a mistake. You're like, you already did that. I don't know. I maybe someone has an answer for me. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I should get more prepared.
Yeah, it's all good.
Like, no, exactly what I wanted to ask, but that's kind of all I had to ask.
All right, cool, man. Thanks for going.
All right. Appreciate
it. Okay. What time is it? 11:08. We're going to run this a little long. This has been a pretty fun show. Thank you very much, everybody, for hanging out. This is a good time. YouTube. Don't do it to me. Hello. Thanks for calling Low Valley Mail.
Hey, do you hear me?
Yes, I do hear you. Who am I speaking with?
You're speaking to the other guy who counts the number of
the guy who got my fucking YouTube channel demonetized for life, dude. For life.
You so far have had like 4 or 5 shills call in.
Dude, that's my audience. I'm telling you, I do not have a thing that says number 6. Here we go.
No, I'm Jewish, but I'm not.
No, I know. We know you. So what's up?
You did mention something. You said something really interesting earlier when that guy was talking about the 27 million Palestinians.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, but you said,
well, it's 2.7 million.
But and after you found that, you said it wouldn't be good if there was 27 million Palestinians.
I said that?
I was yeah, bro, you can rewind it. Like,
oh, okay.
Yeah,
well, it wouldn't be good in the sense, I think in the sense that I think maybe just in the sense that I'm like, how would Israel be? Because I just know that Israel has 8 million people roughly. So I'm like, if there's 29 million hostile people surrounding it, you're like, that surely can't be good. But that's why I was like, that can't be possible because there's no way.
I mean, it would be a pig pen if there was that many people in such a small area. I mean,
yeah, I mean, 27 million.
Not pigs, but whatever. Goat pen.
Yeah, I don't know. That would be way too tight. But Yeah, that's if that's what I said, that's not. I don't know.
No, it was I just found it funny. But yeah, and then everyone was talking about like, oh, it's our job in delayed response. It's just look at the facts. It takes like 6 hours to drive from the from like the Red Sea to all the way to the Golan Heights.
Yeah.
And like I know there was a guy, like there was a former soldier talking about like he used to work on Gaza on the border and stuff, and he was like talking about like, yeah, they can have response times of like to the border of like within mere like 10-15 minutes.
Yeah,
but
it's again there's something that's now again maybe there was such a good attack that all the people who were in charge of responding were like instantly neutralized. I don't know. This is one of those things too, because we're in the fog of war thing where we will get an answer, but it'll be after all of this is over.
What I haven't seen anyone bring up is how this is like tying into like how people say America goaded and pushed Ukraine into war, especially with telling them not to sign treaties. Back in like 2002, 2003, Netanyahu was also pressuring America into invading Iraq as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, if you put yourself in his shoes, you're like, why wouldn't you? You're like, if you think you have the influence, and why would a country not act in their best self-interest? Like, if you're like, hey, I can make this like fucking like Mike Tyson go beat up some bully on my behalf, and you'd be like, yeah, go ahead, Mike. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know, maybe that's not the best example, but you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like why wouldn't he operate in his best interests of his country? Like, you would hope that when you vote for your leader that they operate in the best interest of your country. Now, I understand a lot of Americans are probably like, yeah, and they're not doing that here, but I'm not talking about here.
Yeah, I mean, it would suck if it really did come out that like, because right before all this popped off, like, wasn't Israel like in the midst of like constitutional demonstrations? Because
he was changing the changing the constitution. They were like, there was huge protests across the country. He had like criminal charges, I believe. Like, he had all sorts of shit. Yeah, like there was.
When I started seeing that, I was like, that's when I started like kind of like looking more into it, because I was like, dude, yeah, demonstrations always happen around like in France or Italy or even in Israel, but it's usually like a little more not as like nationwide. But when they were doing that, I was noticing it. I mean, the other thing is just like, how is the world going to be like? How would the world sanction Israel? Because the only sanctions I know that are held against Israel are the ones that also go to the rest of the world. Is that if you want to visit certain Islamic republics and they see they have an Israeli stamp in your passport, they'll just turn you. They'll
just turn you away. Yeah, for sure. And which is why Israel apparently you can ask them to like not stamp your passport.
For I think they'll give you like a separate one,
or they'll give you something like a separate page or something.
Yeah,
exactly.
But it's like Israel they're just like, whatever they're gonna end up doing, they're gonna keep killing Palestinians. How would the world just? What could Israel do back if they get sanctioned? Like, look at it, like what they did to South Africa. South Africa got heavily sanctioned until it all went to shit in 1994 because of apartheid.
Yeah.
But they clearly haven't been doing that for Israel. But do you think the world would even get to the point where like, because look at Europe and the U.S. and UK, all those places, they only arrest pro-Palestinian protesters, none of the Israeli demonstrators.
I don't know. I mean, America.
Granted, the one more side is a lot more violent during their demonstrations versus the other side.
Yeah, and I mean, they would say that that's, I guess, justified. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. It's a tough one.
To make it lighter, you've been keeping up with baseball?
I watched the game last night. Yeah, I don't know. Once the Jays lost 2 games in a row, I wasn't paying as much attention. But I'll watch the World Series. Is there a game right now?
Yeah, I'm watching the Phillies and the Diamonds.
Oh, bottom of the ninth. Oh, the Diamondbacks are winning? No way.
Yeah,
Shit.
the Astros game last night, man. That was kinda
Oh my
rough to
God.
watch.
All
'Cause,
my
like,
Philly friends are like, they're going to be, that's tough. They were all like fucking acting like this thing was over. Ouch.
it's
it's not over. Actually, sorry, I take that back. It's not over. So I guess we'll
That's
see.
what I was saying to myself all last night during the Rangers Astros game.
Oh right,
So-
you're an Astros fan. Yeah, that's a bummer. All right, I'm gonna let you go, man.
Later.
Later. Okay. All right, we're gonna wrap this up. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining me on this extra long episode of Low Value Mail. Tomorrow night, new episode of The Bathhouse, 10:30 p.m. I got Adrian Appalucci and I don't know who else. Oh, we got a call here. And I guess we'll do an episode next week on Halloween. I think I'm going to do paranormal stories on Halloween. Makes sense. And sign up for the Patreon, patreon.com/lowvaluemail. All right, last call of the night. Hello. Last call of the night. Second last, maybe. Hello.
Hey, Danny.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, big fan. I found you through the War Mud episode you did.
Oh, cool. Thanks,
I've
man.
been listening to the Bathhouse and the live Low Value Mail episodes. I like
Very
the
nice.
format. It's kind of refreshing to hear something. I listen to a lot of podcasts, so I enjoy the kind of, it's not a bunch of just banter between a bunch of comedians rehashing bits. And
Sure.
Why don't you plug this show more on the Boys Cast?
I do. I bring it up.
Well, you bring it. You say your YouTube. I've been listening to the Boys Cast for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
I'd never heard you bring it up in terms of being like, you don't name it by name. So
I'll bring it up from time to time. I'm not going to like regularly plug it like that, but I bring it up from time to time. I will.
yeah. Well, I love the show, and I wish I would have found it earlier. So
Yeah.
big
Cool,
up
thanks,
to
man.
you.
Appreciate it.
I
Tell a
appreciate
friend.
all that you're doing, but I think it's it's a neat, it's a throwback to an older time. And
Yeah,
the
man.
concept
It's a
of
call-in
taking
radio
live
show.
calls. Yeah, but it's actually refreshing to hear because it's not just the same old bullshit you hear from time to
And I mean,
time.
honestly, like for shit like this, it is good to just hear people's opinions, just different walks of life. I mean, obviously, this is maybe not like the most diverse audience, like in terms of like cutting every sliver of the pie, but like it's it's good to just get people's opinions on shit. People obviously.
Yeah, it resonates a little bit. It's
Yeah,
just,
and it
well,
just
it's just
varies.
nice to hear something fresh and not. I don't know. A lot of the podcasts that a lot of the comedians that I listen to their podcasts, it's gotten very kind of stale.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice just to kind of bullshit and have the opportunity to call in and just say what's up.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Versus
Thank you.
I like the Bathhouse especially because it's kind of fun. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
might have pretended to be Lev for on the last episode.
Oh, was that you? Nice. That was a good one. That was a good one. Actually, Gilly messaged me and he showed me a demo of the button, the hang up button that he's working on, and it's looking good. We're gonna have a real fucking nice little hang up button for the Bathhouse soon. I'm pumped about that.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I like it. Well, yeah, keep doing it, man. I appreciate.
Thank you.
It's keep up with it because it is entertaining, and hopefully you'll keep growing your audience and everything. So,
I hope
but yeah,
so, too.
have a good night.
Thanks. Take care, man.
All right.
Okay. These calls never stop. All right, I'll take this one right here. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going? You're on Low Value Mail. Who am I speaking with?
My name is Juan. I'm giving you a call from Florida. How are you?
Juan from Florida. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. Just appreciating your commitment to the new grind.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So, what do you want to talk about, Juan?
I guess I once called and you had Matt McCusker's brother on. What's it
with
called?
the War Mode Boys.
The War
Dude,
Mode, yeah. My
fuck.
fucking phone was on mute or Bluetooth kicked in and I wasn't able to talk, but I wanted to ask.
Yeah, man.
Something I never think about is or that I always think about, but is not really discussed, is when would it be appropriate for the public to start asking about, and just to give you back reference to, this is Epstein related, for the public to start asking about the people that make decisions in the best interest, allegedly, for the citizens, allowing operations to go that route where, you know, young people are possibly used as bait for blackmail and stuff like that. Like, how does that enter mainstream? Because
I mean, I think nobody, like, so I had what's his name on the Epstein Justice guy. Why is his name escaping me right now? What the fuck is his name? I can picture his face. He was a guest on the show. Anybody?
You have a lot of guests, though. It's all good.
No, he was he was also on War Mode. Nick Bryant. So Nick Bryant was on the show, and he talked about this, where it's like, you know, they kind of just have this shit. It's like off the books, and, you know, I don't think they really, like, it's all kind of just very secretive, obviously. And he very much says, he's like, you know, the American public is just not ready to have a conversation about the fact that their government is complicit in this stuff, but they are.
Now,
you know?
here's the funny part, is because I use that against people that want me to care about what the fuck is going on in the Ukraine.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, you wanna talk about that operation, but before we get to that, like, hey, the people that even make those decisions are also possibly involved in these decisions.
Absolutely.
And it's just like it rewires those people's brains because they can't comprehend that those two things would correlate.
I mean, they probably just write you off as like a lunatic and just be like, all right, I guess I'm just going to have this conversation with someone else, because
you would think that, but the little bits of information that they receive eventually adds up.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can break through some people. So I do recommend everyone that has people like that in their lives, and you know, don't give up on them. Obviously you can't save everyone, but
yeah.
But
I mean, I do agree, like, as someone who grew up not in America, like in a country who does mostly, like, I'm sure some people will like fucking disagree with me, but like for the most part, like, you know, Canada still is like kind of looking out for Canada, but America very much does stuff that, you know, they're the whole thing, the trope of like trying to be the world's babysitter, all that mediator, all that bullshit, you know. So like, you know, I don't know. America has decided that it's going to be this country. And so they operate sometimes not in their necessarily best interest, or it is in their best interest, but it's, you know, whoever is in charge is way smarter than like anybody else. Sometimes it's impossible to see how that's possible.
And it works sometimes, you know, because we live great lives. That's why so many people come here for an opportunity.
This is the most prosperous nation in the history of the world ever. So ever.
Maybe Atlantis had something over us.
Sure,
but we don't know
I'm
about
like,
that.
It's the most prosperous nation currently in the world, and it's also the most prosperous nation of all time. Something right is happening. As much as there's problems, and obviously people are getting left behind. There's 360 million people here. Like, you're not gonna have zero problems, but and now some people will be like, well, it's only prosperous for whoever, like blah, blah, blah. I understand all the arguments against that, but it still is. There's never been a better country to live in ever.
I'm an immigrant, bro. Like, I came here because of that reason. I was born in 84, so I was born right around the time that Pablo Escobar was running mayhem. I was born in like the same hospital as him and shit like that.
There you go.
In Medellin. And so my parents left because it was wild. And where did they go? It's the one place, you know, where it's like an opportunity. We're the first gen here. Like family of 14 on one side, family of 9 on the other. So yeah, no, I totally get it. And that's why I don't judge right away, because I don't know all the details of stuff. Like, for example, today I saw, have you ever seen the video? It was like 91 or 92 of George Bush Sr. At a Japanese convention or something special
Throwing up?
dinner. Yes, where they gave him the sashimi.
That was
why.
big on Saturday Night Live. They went. I remember when I was a kid, they went to fucking town on that.
See, I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
I had no idea that was huge like that. But the point that I'm bringing that up is that was the first time looking into that event of why he did it and the explanation of like his plane and prisoners of war and some of the people that got caught with him or something along those lines were served up as human sashimi to other people and they ate them in front of them. It was some crazy shit.
Really?
But yes. Did you not know that? All right. So that's
Human
the first time I
sashimi.
ever looked at him as a human, where it wasn't just like you're
Sorry,
not just
you
like
gotta
this
explain
evil
this.
person.
You got to explain this to me.
All right, so let's go back. So the reason he threw up is because he flew airplanes. I think it was, oh God, I'm trying to think if it was World War I or II.
Okay.
It was II, obviously, because it's with
Yeah.
Japan. So in World War II, I believe one of his planes went down. There was a bunch of people, and like 6 of them were caught, and like he's part of the ones that weren't caught, and they were served as human sashimi. You can look this up. They served up the ones that were caught in that particular mission that he was a part of. They served up their skin as human sashimi, and I guess
So then he
Japanese
just
ate
kind of had a reaction where he's just like he figured he was going to be diplomatic and eat the sushi, and then basically, I always thought it was just like a stomach bug or something.
No, bro, it had to do. That's what made me. Unless now here's the 12D chess move is PR is crazy. So that could be a story that's all made up and bullshit. But
yeah,
that is the official story, let's call it, behind of why his reaction was to throw up at a fucking dinner when they're trying to honor the man. Because he's like, you people fucking made my buddies into a meal and ate them, you fucking savages.
Oof.
But
yeah,
I
that's
appreciate
crazy.
your hard work, bro, and I see the grind, like I said. So I never even I've never seen your other show with, but I see you guys all the time on Gas Digital. Shout out to Rap and all the other shows you show
hell
up
yeah,
on.
man. And check out the
Hell
Boys
yeah,
Cast,
so-
new episodes every Friday.
Yeah, see, I haven't seen the Boys Cast, but I've seen
You're missing
plenty
out,
of,
dog.
your bath house and this. So yeah, I gotta check out the Boys Cast.
Cool, man.
I
Well,
appreciate you having me on, bro.
Thanks for
Have a
calling
good
in.
night.
Appreciate it. That was a cool story. All right, everybody, that has been the show. I'm sorry for those of you who I missed, but it's 11:30. We're 30 minutes over what we normally do. Catch us tomorrow night. If you missed us tonight and you want to call into the bathhouse, I know some people don't like, but call in the bathhouse. It's a fun time. We have a good time. If you want to wrench, sign up for patreon.com/lowvaluemail. If you live in Edmonton, November 30th to December 3rd, come check me out. That's it. Thanks very much, everybody. That was honestly a fun show. I know I made a point of it 4 months ago when I said I'm going to be doing more of these open lines, but I am going to start blocking off more open lines shows specifically so that we can just have open lines because these are awesome. This is an awesome show. And I forgot how good these are, and we're going to do them more often. All right, I got to get out of here. Good night, everybody. Love you all. See some of you tomorrow night at the bathhouse. Jeff wants a wrench. Oh, he does not want a wrench. Why do you stop deleting? Okay, mods, if you are a mod, do not delete messages. The mod ship is only to get rid of the porn spam bots. That's it. That is it. Do not delete people's messages. That's not what it's for. Do not make me turn this car around. Seriously though, don't delete them. It's just literally so you can flex on the plebes. That is it. Oh, you didn't mean to do that. Okay. All right, everybody. Well, I think he was specifically asking for a wrench. I don't know. Just DM me if you want a wrench. I'll get you your wrench for the next stream. All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you very much. Good night.
My shit heroic. Empathic abilities, yeah, my face be also stoic. Bleep, blow up, nigga. That just means I'm working. They see me as a leader, so that's why I'm Captain Kirkin. These tracks from the stars, that much is for certain. You can feel this hit if you up or if you hurting. I'm raising my stock, not talking my feet in some Birkin. Number Johnny 5 got a fucking short circuit. Bring the track to life when I spit phenomenal. When I hit, she feel that shit in her abdominals. These rappers make me laugh like comic view, they comical. You know I got a ball out, I hit the track running just like Sonic do. They don't want to turn on my light switch. Yeah. They was trying to get me on my hype shit. Yeah. They don't want to turn on my light switch. Yeah. And they tried to down me on some KO type shit. Yeah. They don't want want to turn on my light switch. Yeah. Now we pulling up fresh on some flight shit. They don't want to turn on my light switch. Yeah. They don't want to turn on my light switch. They don't want to turn on my light switch. Yeah. They was trying to get me on my hype shit. Yeah. They don't want to turn on my light switch. Yeah. They tried to down me up some KO type shit. Yeah. They don't want to turn on my light switch. Yeah. I'm pulling up fresh on some